Good morning, students. Welcome to this new series, a new crash course for this ethics thing. The main intention, main logic behind having these courses so that in a minimum possible time, the whole ethics can be revised, that is in 15 days, and also we can touch upon substantial number of PYQs so that it helps you to understand how to tackle the ethics questions in the coming mains examination basically. But even if those who are not unfortunately writing any mains, you can still take benefit of this. Yes, Omkar, good morning. Those who have any questions in between, because in the ethics I expect a little bit interactive session to the extent possible, so you can ask questions in between anytime you think. Okay, बैठो आराम से. We just started 1 minute. Okay, so today will be the first lecture. This course is designed to be of 15 lectures, 3 sectional tests after every section is over, and 1 comprehensive test. So by the time you are done, maybe at the end of 3 weeks, you would be 4 weeks, because 1 week will be for the preparation, and last test will be after the 4th week. So you will be in very comfortable position as to how to tackle the ethics paper. Okay, so let's go through it. Obviously ethics, yes, so there are some very basic things just to create, and एक minute. Yes, so just to have a hang of as to why and how this paper ethics, so that you know why UPSC has come up with this and what is the logic behind paper. Yeah, so sorry for the delay in between. So by now you might know, see, why this is important to know as to why UPSC came up with this paper, what is the logic behind this paper, is because your answer should, yes, we will be sharing notes to you, not for today's lectures, but those who will join will have specific notes, bunch of notes basically covering all the syllabus. Omkar, not specific to this lecture. So yes, why UPSC came up with this? Because do you really think, like for example, do you really think that if you study ethics, you will be ethical as a civil servant? Do you really think that is going to happen? Honestly, very unlikely, right? But then why do you think UPSC has come up? We know why UPSC has history and geography, economy as a part of the syllabus. Why? Because anyway, once you become DM or whatever other services, you have to use that knowledge. Even essay. Why essay is important? Because you have to write a lot of notes on technical, non-technical topics when you are in the system, whichever service you are. You know, one of the core job, obviously decision making is the job, one of the core job of any service, whenever you say that, you know, the work of a bureaucrat or a work of a civil servant, you know what exactly is the work? We say decisions, right? What is this decision means? Nothing else, you are noting on the file. You're getting my point. Ultimately, your decision means you have to write something on the file that has come to you. That is your job, whichever service it is. Otherwise, you know, I have taken this decision. Unless it is on the paper, it's not a decision. So, essay is important for that. Why ethics is important, and why do you think UPSC has brought in this? Do you really think UPSC thinks that, you know, it will improve the ethicality of people? It will improve the way people think. So, you know, or people will become ethical. Like those who have got 130, 140 plus marks, they are immediately becoming ethical, and not necessarily, but there is still impact, because when you talk about something, it becomes part of your awareness, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, and to the extent possible you start living that way. Minor change, you know, brick by brick, or there is this term, no, it's like giving a nudge, maybe little push. So when you understand something like compassion, we understand something like you know, honesty, integrity, what are the intricacies in the meaning of those terms, how it is applicable, and important thing is examples. Are there already people working as a bureaucrats, working as a civil servant, following these things? I can guarantee you, okay, I can guarantee you that many of the, if not for this paper, if not for ethics, you wouldn't have known the names of those bureaucrats and Padma Shri awardees and social workers, in spite of, you know, going through the whole process of UPSC and getting selected. Yes, you know, you will not be using their name at all. Now you are required to dig, okay, who is working, who got the Padma Shri, who is the person who is working on the social areas, like that. So you also should keep your preparation in alignment with this part of UPSC. That's the whole point of this slide. Okay, got the point? So your answers also should have that touch, because why I'm saying, sometimes people in case study, writing case study, say that, you know, itna idealistic kaise likhenge? How can I write such an idealistic point of view? You have to. You cannot say no. Have you seen last year's case studies? There was a case study where this bank employee, you know, she wanted money, you could not give, you got the money from the cashier from a dormant bank account, and her father's, you know, life was at stake. Surgery was to be done. Now we may think, okay, anyway it was a dormant account, and anyway she is paying back. There is a dilemma in our mind. And if you see, if it was our normal life where you know that, okay, no problem, nothing big is going to happen, you will straight away say that, no, do it. Yes or no? You cannot say that in the paper. It is wrong means it is wrong. Some other arrangement could have been done, but you cannot say, okay, there are positives, compassion, you know, personal relationship, friendship, that is positive side, but the negative side is superseding it. You are absolutely doing something unnegative. Just imagine you are a bank cashier, for whatever reasons, you are releasing money from the bank to some personal account, and then after some time, you know, you will put that money into that account. Obviously it is wrong. The point is that idealism, okay, has to be there somewhere in your process, in your thinking. We'll see, जब हम case study का देखेंगे, you will see many scenarios where you will feel little confused. You know, what should be done. You know, if we take too idealistic, will it look like a, you know, foolish idealism that nobody is going to follow? You have to strike a balance. Okay? So that is the reason they have. So what happens when you understand the terms and principles and examples? Then you start appreciating it. How many times before, like you are the generation, I think, when you started preparation of ethics, these ethics is established for you. but we were the generation where some 2-3 attempts we gave before ethics, 2-3 attempts after ethics. So for us, ethics is like happening in front of us, and initially it's like, what is this? Obviously a normal reaction, because we have been preparing. For me though, I got selected without ethics, no. So I was like, why they got it? No, because next attempt, so they shouldn't have got it, because I am habitual to this particular thing. But for you, it is like a well accepted thing. But you should know as to why they have got these things into picture. Okay, it's a good decision according to me. Okay, and it's like on the basis of my experience in the interviews, I can tell you it is very similar to interview, because case study is nothing but similar to interview. Only thing is it is very detailed. In interview it is very fast and in principle. So it is good. It is a very good thing that they have done. I don't know how they evaluate, that is a mystery, but it is a good thing that they have come up with. Now another thing here is, there are 2 steps that you should be doing. Number 1, yes, have this understanding in your mind as to, yes, this is important. I should know what conscience is. I should know what honesty is. I should know what integrity is. I should know what fortitude is, courage is, perseverance is. Yes, not just words, I should know. But another level, most important, I should at least know and almost to say that, remember the words, mug up the words. That is very important for the examination. So point is, even if you might feel little confused, but your answer should be well prepared. Because tell me, what is your aim in coming to this class or preparing, giving time for ethics? To be really great ethical person on this planet, or to understand ethics, try to implement to the extent possible when I am in service, but for now get into the service. So like in interview also it happens, whether you are that personality or not, you should appear that personality to them in that 20 minutes in the same way, and it is possible. Little bit you should have, and little bit you should have a outer coating. That is possible by preparation. Otherwise, why are you preparing? See, in the case study that we discuss, or any other, like what do you understand by compassion? Do you really need some theory? No, but we need English to write it in 7 minutes. Suddenly if I ask you, okay, what do you mean by conscience? You know what conscience is, you have experienced it, you know compassion is, you experience, but you need words, you need keywords, and that too ready-made words and keywords to be written within 7 minutes. And next question. The second stage is where many people lack. That's the reason we need preparation. Otherwise, many students comes to me and they are like, I don't know what to prepare for ethics. Have this question come up to your minds? Prepare karna matlab what? There is no book, right? NCERT पढ़ लो 2-3 बार, read it 2-3 times, you remember. There is nothing like that. So starting point for the preparation, we'll come to that anyway, will be answered on the next slide, but because the flow has come, you have to understand the mind of the UPSC. Now, how would you understand the mind of the UPSC? There are only 2 ways to understand the mind of the UPSC. Third type is also there, but basically for you 2 types: syllabus, CYQs. Third is toppers, you listen to them how they wrote and how they got the marks, or people who are kind of have been teaching, have been talking to toppers. The only difference between toppers and the teacher is, teacher would be having access to 10 toppers and they would have talked to and they consolidated and put it to it. So point I am saying is, it is important to understand what is required. If you understand it, I can tell you, it is easiest to prepare. GS4, easiest among all, maybe only comparable with essay. Essay is also very easy. Easiest to prepare, easiest to write, and more benefit in terms of marks. But there has to be some strategy to achieve it. If you put more efforts, in the sense more efforts in right direction, the return on investment that you will get in ethics is much more than, except optional. Obviously optional, it's a different story for all different options. Okay, so you always keep in mind that that thing is happening, that thing, the question or the case study is telling me, it is not just talking about some foolish idealism, it makes sense. And by the way, there have been really good officers, genuinely, whatever your idealism says, I will be honest, I will stand my ground. People actually do it in the system, you know this. Because of them, system is working like this. Any big projects, you go and notice, the big projects, however corrupt the politician would be, he would only want the big project to be given to Mr. X because he has been outstanding, efficient and ethical. These two things a bureaucrat is needed, and there will be at least 5 questions on the same theme. It has already come in PYQ. Efficiency and ethicality, or integrity and professional integrity or professional efficiency. So aapko, you should know the tricks of the trade and you should be honest. That's all. You are the best bureaucrat. If you are in health ministry, you should know what it is, what are the problems, and you should be honest. So the system is being functioning on the shoulders of the honest officer. Don't think that अरे सब बकवास है, चल रहा है. Whatever number, we don't know the percentage. Even in the UPSC interview, you should never look like, you should never say anything of that sort, practically तो ऐसे ही होता है sir. You will be thrown out, literally. You have to be idealistic, defend your ground and communicate. Same is the case here. So never leave the idealism. Only thing is, not just throw the idealism, it should be justified somewhere in your answer. Okay? So yahi pura hai. You understand what these terms are, then you start appreciating it, then obviously you start inclining towards it. Once you internalize it, this is after, especially when join. Anyway, you understood. Any doubt in that what I was trying to you got the point that I was trying to communicate? Okay. It is important. Another thing, never treat it as a general studies paper. Why I am saying this? Already answered. NCERT, Lakshmikant, reproduce marks. That is not going to happen. Okay, one, 2 questions maybe. Case study is not going to happen. Quotes, it is not going to happen. So 150 mark is anyway gone. 150 mark is like actually interview happening. Can you prepare for interview questions? You can prepare yourself for the interview or for unexpected questions. But can you prepare for the questions in the interview? No. People prepare, but that doesn't work. Because I also give interview guidance also. No, I have been giving for last 5-6 years mock interviews, everything. So it's very difficult. You can prepare history. I have covered medieval, I have covered modern, I have covered postmodern, freedom struggle, quit India. You know specifically what happened. First, remove these things from your mind that it is a general studies paper, that there is some book XYZ, there is some this that I have to read, mug it up and write. There are some terms, explanations, definitions and example that you need to collect. But unless you know what the question is asking, you don't know where to use them. Okay, so I generally name it as general sense GS 4, not general studies. Sense and study different lag raha hai? Study means a lot of facts, figures. Sense is more of what your inclination, what your explanation, what your justification is. Then already told interview on paper. Marks to already, you already know. I no need to explain this, 140, 145. Can you ever imagine GS 140? One person may be somebody who is history expert or something, may get, we don't know. 140 to मैंने भी नहीं सुना. GS 1 में 140, have you ever heard last 10 years? 1, 2, 3 में कहीं नहीं. There was some person who got 120 or 130 in GS 2, but Pol Science में graduation, post graduation, optional Pol Science, something of that sort. So he got good marks in IR and all the questions. That's why. Anyway, so we know the impact. Without optional, without good performance in optional, ethics and essay, an interview for that matter, can you get selected? Not so good option in GS 1, 2, 3 or any of them, you can still get selected if other 4 are. चलो इंटरव्यू छोड़ दो, बाद में देख लेंगे. और these 3, and in that Optional, you know what to do, everybody has this different choice. Ethics, you need to be very, very focused, meticulous and in right direction. Okay. Ethics, most likely I can tell you now, most of you would be coming back and telling I actually put a lot of efforts but direction was not right. तो बाद में पता चलता है कि ये करना ही नहीं था. ठीक है. Okay, so what are the type, ये हो गया. What are the types of the question generally? Now this we are trying to comprehend what it means to be ethics paper. Okay, normally we know what GS paper means. They will ask some report, like GS2 for example, there are some act, some report, some suggestions, some improvements, some failures, some policy, some scheme. What would they ask here? एक तो basic concepts, yes, basic concepts, right? What are the basic concepts they will ask? And they have asked, they have been asking, what do you understand by values? What do you mean by integrity? What is your understanding on perseverance? What do you mean by, fortitude? Many terms, and initially now they have stopped, they have did in 2013-14 and then just I think repeated that scheme of question in 2017-18 somewhere, where they will just give 5 terms, 2 marks, perseverance, sense of service, spirit of service, like that. Very comfortable questions. You look at the question, you feel good. Okay, chalo, 10 marks to ho gaya, because we would have prepared, because 2013 onwards they have been signaling that will come. So basic concepts. Now please remember this thing like a thumb rule. Basic concepts, which includes terms and all, means there has to be a less jargonized definition that is ready with you. Notes में तो मिल जाएगा, but if you can have your own definition also possible, ready. Honesty means definition less jargonized. I am not saying very simple words. Possibly little bit jargonized होगा, the little theories तो आ ही जाएगा. Basic concept means you should have that. Second, you should have the example of it. Integrity means this. For example, this example not necessarily from bureaucracy. It can be from history, it can be from mythology, it can anything that depicts that. Very, very important. I can tell you, as far as the theory question is concerned, that around 100 marks, 10 questions, barring quotes and case studies. This is the building block of your answer. The obviously arguments, why one should be compassionate, society, internal satisfaction, not harming others, selflessness, ये सब आ जाएगा. But all the terms that you are using, somewhere there should be. So the moment you are preparing for this, just do this thing. Collect wherever possible, try collecting the keywords, definition, example. That's all. 100 mark preparation is this. Rest all you know what to do. It's as easy actually, because question can come anything. Like for example, they had asked, for example, this life of Buddha and its teachings and its relevance in today's. Now you might write ahimsa, you should know what you have to explain in 1 or 2 lines what ahimsa is, an example. That's all. This is very, very crucial. Without that, you will keep writing goal. Ahimsa अच्छा है, ahimsa बहुत अच्छा है, वो तो बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छा है. ऐसे ही होता है. Most of the time, if you don't prepare, your answer will be like this. Okay. Personal experience, as I said, as a part of example, if you have, is also very good technique to put in. It's very easy. Okay. Ideal personality. Now, with respect to ideal personality, the safest bet is Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, very good. But try to be creative little bit. If it completely fits Mahatma Gandhi, okay, put Mahatma Gandhi there. But if you have some other example which also fits in, prepare those examples of yours. Okay, वो भी notes में होंगे, but मैं फिर भी आपको बता रहा हूँ. Because what happens, if you prepare your own, I can guarantee this, if you prepare your own, especially personalities and their stories, you will remember that faster than the things that you have read like a catalog. Catalog will be given to you anyway in the notes, but you should know it can be any simple person. Now, like for example, perseverance, people may put many examples, but for example, the best, somebody from Bihar would certainly put the example of perseverance. No better example I consider in whole of India, perseverance, somebody from Bihar. You might know already, I am guaranteeing you know him. Only thing is suddenly I am asking, this is exactly what happens in exam, सब sudden नहीं आता है, हाँ? नहीं, Dashrath Manji. Know the example, the mountain man? There was movie also. He real perseverance, like you know, most explicit perseverance. ये check करना, ठीक है? Then yes, अभी वो याद आया तो सजेशन में कुछ चीजें मैं इन बिटवीन बोलता रहूंगा. यस मांझी माउंटेन मैन, यू आर राइट ओमकार. कॉर्नर में कहीं लिखते रहना, दैट विल बी सजेशन फॉर योर कंटेंट सप्लीमेंट्स अपार्ट फ्रॉम द टिपिकल कंटेंट दैट विल गेट, एंड वो भी थोड़ा अलग अलग फॉर्म में होंगे. ओके, तो अभी बिकॉज आई रिमेंबर दिस, इफ वेन एवर यू गेट टाइम प्लीज ट्राई टू वॉच सत्यमेव जयते, some episodes which you think are relevant. Satyam Jyoti, you know Amir Khan's program? No, don't know? It helps in ethics and essay, and also it helps, I know you don't have that much time, but you know, bits and pieces also if you see, it will impact you. That's how they have made visual impact, because when it comes to essays and ethics, there has to be little bit, you know, human factor into the answer. You may forget the, like domestic violence, if you see that program, you know, all other facts that are followed by it will be, you know, stuck to your mind. You don't need to even remember. That's how it happens. It's very good. तो अभी याद आया तो ये रखना, because mountain man वही सबसे पहले रेफर हुआ था. Then quotes तो ठीक है, हम देख लेंगे ethical analysis के. So this is generally types of the questions that, you know, that's how, like these are the comprehensive understanding of themes as to how they are going to ask the questions. Okay, ideal personality तो yes, you want to ask. कोट्स का तो अलग एक लेक्चर ही है हमारा, पूरा 3 घंटे सिर्फ कोट की बात करेंगे. हाँ, see that's what कोट्स को, even that's the reason I was telling first, it is not general studies but it is general sense. You cannot cover the questions like what happens in optional. We know, like you know, 25% of the questions can be predicted in optional, whichever optional it is, especially humanities, technical optional, anthro, socio, psychology, geography, pol science, philosophy. If you prepare well, 25% of the questions can be predicted before exam. I can, you know, give in writing. All those who actually preparing well, they can predict. Here you cannot. You do whatever you cannot, and you should not, because it's not going to be technical question. If they ask tomorrow how Kant's moral obligation is different than, you know, John Stuart Mill's the utilitarian perspective of morality, this up they are not asking. If that was the case, then you would have required to read so many things. Here you should be able to recollect what you have, and it should be prior prepared before you getting into the hall. That's the reason best way is try to solve PYQs. तो आप बोलेंगे नहीं सर पहले पढ़ाई करेंगे, what would you read? And then if it was his, you know, optional, anthro, history, geography, you know, okay, I have to read this thinker, then only I'll write. What would you read if they ask you, okay, the attitude towards women in the society, something of that sort, or sexual violence, what would you read? And by the way, it's not again fact. They are not talking about Nirbhaya Act or anything, specific provisions. They are not asking that. Why it is increasing society? Like yesterday I was evaluating somebody's ethics ka question. The corruption is not just in the bureaucracy, it's a social failure of a society in general. What can be done so that the corruption from the society can be removed? Where would you read and what would you read? Tell me. You should be able to write something that you already know. Give example of Mahatma Gandhi, you can give example of Dr. APJ Kalam, you can give example of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, यू कैन गिव एग्जाम्पल ऑफ ऑल शास्त्री, मतलब करप्शन मीन पॉलिटिक्स से जोड़ रहा है इसलिए मैं एग्जाम्पल दे रहा हूँ, एंड दैट्स हाउ द आंसर शुड बी रिटन. व्हाट एल्स? बट द पॉइंट इज it should not be kept for the day of the exam. It should be written now. Another thumb rule is, before the examination, do whatever, you should be able to solve all the 11 years papers bit by bit, not एक साथ बैठ के 2013 onwards 2023. ये एक टारगेट है आपके लिए. The one who can solve this, just attempt to solve. I'm not even talking about solving in such a way that I got this much marks from this teacher. वो नहीं बोल रहा हूँ मैं. I'm just talking, please do it. I can guarantee you, you will be at a different level starting point से. That effort is required, very much required. The biggest paradox in mains preparation is, paradox तो जानते हैं, उल्टा. Everybody knows that there is no alternative of answer writing, and everybody discourages their own answer writing. बाद में कर लेंगे, we'll do it tomorrow. Ethics में तो और कुछ है ही नहीं. All about answer writing, and especially answer writing means PYQs, because PYQ is the best source of what UPSC is going to ask. Do you know that case study gets repeated? Can you imagine that happen? Do you really think, I'm just saying for sake of saying, और हो सकता है? केस स्टडी कैसे रिपीट हो सकता है? क्वेश्चन रिपीट हो सकता है. कैन देयर बी रिपीट ऑफ क्वेश्चन? दे हैव एक्चुअली रिपीटेड क्वेश्चन एज इट इज, नॉट मच बट, एंड थीम वाइज तो लॉट ऑफ रिपीटेशन. इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस इज लाइक गिवन every year, it is going to come, but they have repeated quotes also, but they have repeated case study also. The only thing is, instead of Ramesh there will be Suresh, instead of Delhi there will be Patna or Chennai, something like that. Instead of bridge there will be some building collapse. Instead of 10 people died, maybe 8 people. You're getting my point. Theme is same, and you can actually have, when we'll study case study, we'll discuss that also. Sir, मैं एक डॉक्टर हूँ, I mean अभी नहीं, but we'll discuss that later. Okay, so these are the types of question. Quotes we'll see. There will be separate lecture as to how to tackle the quotes if you practice enough quotes. Okay, tackling quote is like tackling a fast bowler. Would you know what kind of what kind of delivery that bowler is going to put to you? Do you know पहले से ही? How do you hit the shot? Many shots, the great players, they invent on the ground in the match. उनको भी नहीं पता था कि मैं ऐसे मारूंगा. But does that mean they have practiced that particular shot only? So you practice your own shots. There are many different quotes, many different things, and at the end of the lecture and things, you will be in the position to tackle the newer quotes also. Okay. Yes. Any doubt? Answer writing वो हम देख लेंगे वैसे भी. The most important thing is what is the demand of the question. पूछ क्या रहे हैं? What exactly is being asked? 10 marker है. You cannot write the whole Ramayana there. Then arguments, obviously. What are the arguments you have? Then ethical values, and when I talked about the substantiation, that is exam. ठीक है, ये देख लेंगे जब हम ये ब्रीफली बस बता रहा हूँ आपको. सिलेबस तो चलो आपको पता ही है, बट एक बार हैव यू रेड दिस सिलेबस? पहला काम वो कर लो, बिकॉज यू विल अगेन गेट द इंडिकेशन. This paper will include questions to test the candidate's attitude and approach to the issues relating to integrity. Why integrity is talked about so much? Why integrity is considered so? Why integrity? Have you ever heard any ethics lecture without the word integrity? Why? What is integrity? Anyway, we will cover, but आपको तो उतना तो पता ही होगा. मेंस अभी लिख रहे हैं तो most of you. Integrity क्या है? What is integrity? Also कि नहीं बताओ, simple बताओ. What is integrity? The civil servant should be a person of integrity. One should never falter on their integrity. One should never lose, never bypass the integrity. The man of integrity, the person of integrity. What is integrity? What do you understand? Yes, example, explanation. Okay, very good. Okay. Okay. Compromise word cannot be associated with integrity. In fact, uncompromising courage is what integrity gives you. Yes, integrity. Don't, I am not asking what is the difference between integrity and honesty. वो अलग debate है. Integrity क्या है पहले ये तो बताओ. And you can give examples. Like for example, sir. That's what the question is. Principles, strong morals. Yes, correct. Integrity. Integrity is oneness. So, as you mentioned, what you say and what you do. Basically, integrity is whatever you think is right and whatever you do. There should not be any difference. Not just walk the talk. You may not even talk, but you know what is right. So, you know this is the right thing to do, but for some reasons you compromise, then you are not person of integrity. Integrity is very, very important, because without integrity there is no reliability in administration. Just imagine, you put, like for example, you put the application in UPSC, right? You know that they will process it. Now you give prelims. मान के चलो आपका रिजल्ट निगेटिव आ गया. What comes to your mind? कुछ तो गड़बड़ यूपीएससी ने किया होगा. That comes to your mind? Not at all. क्यों? UPSC is one of the best public service examination conducting organization in the world, because they have maintained the integrity. अभी ये पता नहीं कि यूपीएससी का एग्जाम्पल लिखना एग्जाम में कितना सही है, लिख सकते हैं. It's not a wrong thing, and it's not flattering. It's true, and that too when so many exam leaks happening in the country like India, including the State Public Service Commission. Integrity means what? Integrity breeds trust. Without integrity, no trust. So, conscious decision should never be compromised, should never be slipped away from what you think is right. बहुत बार क्या होता है कि हम जो करते हैं उसको राइट जस्टिफाई करने की कोशिश की, इन व्हाट वे दिस इज राइट, बिकॉज वो कर दिया मैंने. इंटीग्रिटी नहीं है फिर. इट्स ओके, कम बैक टू इंटीग्रिटी, ट्राई टू स्टिक टू इट. And actually, if you see that way, it is easiest way to live with. It is, and in other way, it is tough also. Easiest because you no need to remember what I did. I just did whatever was right thing. And by the way, I'll tell you, sometimes there is another category of thing that generally discussed in bureaucracy called honest mistake. You did whatever with utmost integrity, on the basis of whatever knowledge you have, on the basis of whatever facts you were received. But it happens to be a not so good decision. होता है ऐसे, आपने ऐसे चूज किया, ऐसे ही करेंगे, हो सकता है decision may go wrong. But that is not considered to be a malpractice. That is not considered to be a corrupt practice. That is not considered to be a malafide intention. It is called honest mistake. Mistake is different, and intentional compromise is different. And by the way, all the values that we talked about, especially in the case of civil service, everything boils back to integrity. Like impartiality. What is impartiality? What is non-partisanship? You should not take sides unreasonably. Why? Because you know it is wrong. When people are coming at you so that they are expecting some adjudication from your side, being an authority, would you expect, if you have gone to some authority, to be partial against you? No. So why would you say, why would you expect others to just accept whatever I am saying? Point is, all the values will, आगे देखेंगे different categories of values. All the values, especially for the civil servant, flows from the value of integrity. Very, very important. आपके आंसर में वो कहीं ना कहीं it should be there if the question connotes to that. What UPSC is saying? Approach to the issues relating to integrity, probity, in public life and his personal a problem solving approach to the various issues. This is also very important. सिर्फ ethical होना important नहीं है और sufficient नहीं है, I would say. You should be able to have problem solving approach. Problem need to be solved. You know, not doing anything is not a decision. You know, किसने बोला था ये? हमारे यूपीएससी के समय it was very popular. Not taking decision is also a decision. Technically, philosophically correct है. Dr. Manmohan Singh, and people criticize him like anything. That's how policy paralysis criticism started against him. So he, like for example, is a very good example where his you know, character, his integrity is impeccable, everybody knows. But then how such a big scams happened under your nose? Somewhere you faltered, did not take responsibility, maybe did not find that you should be accountable, or there was some other divided authority. But what happened? It costed India. So even if you might be very good at you are not doing anything for your personal gain, but does that suffice? No, you should be able to also have problem solving approach. This is most of the people in the case study, this aspect they miss. That they think that okay, I have taken the right stand and it's okay, I will not do anything, I will not do any corruption. Okay, then what would you do? You have to do some work also, no? You have to get into the thick and thin of the thing, like you have to get into it and dirty your hands and start working on it. So this is very important. This one statement is very, very crucial. You read 3, 4 times, 5 times, then you understand. Problem solving approach to the various issues and conflicts faced by him in dealing with society. Questions may utilize the case. Now see, questions may utilize the case study approach. So case study is what? Case study is just a tool to evaluate the same thing which otherwise also they are going to evaluate through theory. Okay. बाकी ये syllabus तो चलो कोई detail देखने की जरूरत नहीं है. But please, you must go through the syllabus. What? Okay. How to make use of this crash course? Okay, build perspective practice जो अभी चल ही रहा है. Discuss questions. ये थोड़ा सा बात you people seems to be very silent batch. मतलब batch in this silent lot. But ठीक है, maybe you will later this thing. Answer writing obviously वो कर ही लेंगे. Readiness to tackle unexpected question. It should be the crux of UPSC ethics. Never expect the question. Ready to fight the unexpected ones. ओके ये तो आपको पता ही है, आंसर राइटिंग वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह, ठीक है. दिस यू नो, तो 3 weeks चलेगा. दिस 5 lectures विल बी माइंड, फिलोसॉफिकल एस्पेक्ट, दी स्टार्ट टू EI, इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस तक का सब. देन गवर्नेंस वाला सेकंड पार्ट बाबू सर विल टेक, एंड केस स्टडीज विल बोथ टेक. आप देखते हैं कैसे, ठीक है. तो लेट अस सी पहला वाला, ethics and human interface. Okay. Now that's what I was talking about. Most of the terms we already. What is ethics? What is morality? What is values? What is conscience? What is integrity? What is rationality and objectivity? Empathy and compassion, impartiality, non-partisanship, dedication to public service, tolerance, ethical. Some of the frequently used by UPSC and by students in the answer, these are the terms. Fairness and reasonableness. Okay. What is ethics? Okay, what is ethics? When we say professional ethics, okay, business ethics, societal ethics, what is ethics? अरे इतना प्लीज कुछ भी बोलो, उस पर क्या है, एग्जाम थोड़ी चल रही है. बट what, no, see that thing I'm saying, I know all of you know what it means. You should be able to wordize it. It should be put in word. Ethics is that set of principles and norms. Then you can add which are considered to be right. morally right or right, or you can say again extend, which guides the society to do the right thing and discourage the society or individual, and discourage society or individual to do wrong thing. So everything has their ethics, principles and values and standards that guide human behavior. Yes, correct. समझ रहे हो ये wording, it's not that something new, it's not, is it new that you did not know, but वो word में आना चाहिए, उसकी practice चाहिए. How much mention of exact laws and policies matters in the answer of the case study? No, in case study you no need to, most of the places you no need to actually write the existing laws and rules, unless and until it is very, like, you know, if you are talking about IPC or domestic violence, well established laws, that you can mention. No need to mention specific section. What important in the case study is your arguments. ठीक है, case study का case study के समय देखेंगे. No need to remember. It's not paper 2, it's not GS2. ठीक है. So ethics is that set of principles, set of norms, set of guiding principles, values, set of values that, जैसे example बताओ फिर. What do you feel when you hear the word ethics or ethical behavior? Greater good, yes, but it has to be flowing from some principle. Greater good is also a principle. Compassion, honesty, transparency. Like for example, I believe in the value of transparency very strongly. I'll just disclose my own income sitting as a sitting DM on the notice board. ये मेरा value system. So depends on your value system, your ethicality. वो तो हम देखेंगे, morality, personal. When it becomes part of your personal value system, it is generally called as morality. But दोनों interchangeably use होते हैं. So no need to take a lot of burden of this. ये दोनों interchangeably use हो जा सकते हैं, कोई issue नहीं है. That's how I write. Morality is individual ethics, ethics is group morality. But one thing is very sure, ethics is generally with respect to some group. Whenever 2 or more people are coming together, they will talk about ethics. Right? Because they will have some norms to be followed among themselves. Automatic होता है वो. Right? Then values. What are values? What do you understand by values? Values are something that you value. Valuables. But here, not valuables as in material valuables, car or bike and all that. Obviously, values is those ethical principles, moral principles that you value. So your value system means, for me, transparency, for me, punctuality, for me, honesty at whatever cost. And I am sure you will be having those, some of those with you. Impartiality. I will never take decision only on the side, listening to the one side. There will be always, both the versions should be listened, then only I'll take the decision. Okay, compassion. It's my value. Whenever I feel that somebody needs help, it's my value. So value is, ये सवाल आया हुआ है by the way. What do you mean by values? UPSC PYQ. It's not just I'm asking out of ear. What do you mean by values? ये सवाल आया हुआ है 2 बार, twice. What is conscience? So conscience is something inner institution, inner furniture, inner thing, inner compass, inner force, inner voice. कुछ तो अंदर है तो क्या करता है? What do they do? Guides your behavior or regulates your behavior, and not just regulates. Through regulation, it inspires you to do right thing and discourages you wrong thing. How you understood? A mechanism है. Conscience is a kind of a mechanism in you, inside you. वो है ना कि कुछ करे तो बुरा तो लगता है, guilt होता है. Why guilt? You know you have done it. You knew while doing it. ऐसा होता है बहुत बार. ओके, बट बाद में गिल्ट होता है. When you go to have a tea and you decide, because lot of crowd is there anyway, so many students, मैं पैसे नहीं दे तो क्या दिक्कत, क्या फर्क, किसको पता चलने वाला है. It is at your benefit. You are saving your 10 rupees. Wouldn't you save your 10 rupees? Okay. As far as OR and T walas are concerned, is it really difficult to do that? They don't even keep the eye on who is coming and who is going. Yes, most of the time. ये मेरा अनुभव है. I don't know what you. They'll not इतना पूछते नहीं है कि चलो निकल गए, क्या पता चलेगा. But then what happens? Would you, थोड़ा proudly, would you even mention this to your friend? पता है मैं आज ये कर, क्या आदमी है, मतलब थोड़ा हम बोलते हैं ना कि you should have kept your own respect in front of your own eyes. Who is speaking? This conscience is speaking from inside. वो अंदर से, ये तो छोटी, and by the way this can be a very good example. You could have done this. There is no harm in mentioning that this done. Later on I realized that it was a mistake. I went back and paid 5 rupees extra. What's the problem? Okay, and बहुत लोग करते हैं. Why? Because you're that time where your conscience is not perhaps active and something else is active, you compromise. And some people are like, never. By mistake, if they forget, they'll come back spending 10 rupees to pay 10 rupees. Because that's all. I made a mistake, so I have to come and give it back. Understood what conscience? Conscience is a big thing. It's a big mystery. If there was, from where it is coming, Kant and all have their own answers, but because of this conscience, दुनिया अभी ऐसी चल रही है. Otherwise, when we have something like this nuclear weapons and other weapons, destruction is very possible. But somewhere, everybody in their mind thinking, कुछ तो उनको अंदर से खींचता है. Everybody who thinks I am so practical and so, अरे मुझे कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता, when it comes to very deep interactions, they will reveal to you that no, ultimately they also feel bad, because guilt is that अंदर का जो एक पिन होता है, if you do wrong, अंदर से शुरू कर दे. So guilt is that instrument which conscience uses against you. ये कहाँ से आया, क्या आया, वो फिर डिटेल हो जाएगा. वो moral obligation, can't understand, but they have never asked, no need to. थेरी तो नहीं पूछा उन्होंने, but ये inherent है. मतलब if you are human being, it is inherent. You cannot escape. And to the extent possible, if you are not having it, to that extent possible, you are not human. That's why हम बोलते हैं ना कि जनरली हम एक्सप्रेशन में बोलते हैं ना कि क्या इंसान हो या क्या हो, जानवर हो. Why do we say that? That's why human values. Human values means the values which helps you to transcend your, animality or animal in you. Animal movie बना के फेमस हो रहे हैं, but वो violence, exploitation, harming others. Do you really like to do that? You'll never. You might be angry at someone, but the moment anger is resided, you feel like इतना भी नहीं करते. Why? Conscience is working. ठीक है, समझ में आ रहा है? How important conscience is? Yes. No, you never consciously bypass the conscience. If you are conscious, you will not be able to bypass the conscience. You are under the influence of some other thing where your material, because if you are conscious enough, the most active part that will regulate your behavior is conscience. Because इसलिए ना, if you are relaxed, if you are calm, if you are alert, most likely you will not be able to do any wrong thing. अब देखो, when you are relaxed or maybe happy, you feel to help others. इस रोड पे जा रहा है. When you are irritated, what will you do? You will shout at others, अरे जाओ, I have my own work to do. When you have become too much with yourself, then only you become unethical. That's why ये तो ठीक है. In Indian tradition, ethicality is very intimately associated with spirituality, not religion, spirituality. When you are meditation, you are doing meditation, you are calm, composed, most likely you will be happy to others. You'll be, people talk about spreading happiness and all that is coming from this. Now, some people think that religion is the only way to attain spirituality. That's another story. But spirituality in itself is also there. You can experience the moment, the day when you are very happy, you will be very good person to others. When you are not very happy, you will be very nasty person to others. So, ethicality depends upon how calm and composed and possibly, happy, joyous you are. That is possible because conscience only works when you are happy. Or obviously you have to work upon it, but if you are relaxed, that's why why emotional intelligence is important, because if you know how to get rid of or escape away from the wrong influence of the anger and others, you will be ethical. If you are under the influence of anger and this thing, what will happen? You will react. Yes. For whom? Conscience is an individual thing. It is social conscience and all ठीक है, but no, see, crisis of conscience issue comes slightly different way. When both the sides, okay, it might be crisis of conscience for you to take stand. This can be okay for you. That looking at both the sides is very difficult for me to decide to take the stand. But war में आपको अगर डायलेमा हो रहा है तो पेपर 2 के लिए ठीक है. If you are having dilemma in war, it is good in paper 2, GS2, international relations, or it can be very good when it comes to your PSI or optional. Not good in ethics. Should not be any crisis of conscience when it comes to this. It is wrong. War is wrong. You can mention what Hamas did was also wrong and what Israel is doing also wrong. That's clear cut. There is no crisis in a way. That is crisis of humanity. Crisis of conscience is that you are not able to ethically decide what is right, what is wrong. Okay. Integrity we already seen. Rationality, objectivity. What is rational, what is objective? Yes, logical is, so something that is reason based is rationality. Something that is fact based is objective. So, reason means 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, not 5. Fact means whatever true with you, whatever the services reports. Empathy and compassion, you already know. What is empathy and compassion? When empathy comes into, when compassion or empathy comes into picture? Okay. It is the cause behind compassion and sympathy is suffering, pain and suffering of others. So, identification, recognition of the pain and suffering of the others, and the sense of responsibility to provide solution to the, to the solution to it. So, that also depends upon your inner this thing, because when you look at the people, you also feel, what can be done. But problem solving approach hona zyada important, because we also feel bad about so many people that we see, mostly people who are begging on the street or something, somebody having some big accident or something, but what can you do about it is the next step, especially as a bureaucrat, civil servant. The what is it called, solution approach is very, very important. Impartiality, non-partisanship, obvious. Now, rationality, objectivity automatically leads to impartiality. Kaise? Because if your data is logical, data is factual, its analysis is logical, now only decision that you have to take is on the basis of facts and figures and facts and situation. Now, only thing here is, again, what hampers your behavior to be ethical? What actually pushes you to do unethical behaviors? Yes, some interest of yours, some material interest of yours, something that you know will benefit me, or something that will pay me back. Now, it is not wrong in thinking that something is beneficial to me. What's the problem there? It is benefiting to me unduly. It is benefiting to me at the cost of harms to others. Then there is a problem. Okay? And the golden principle of ethicality, you have to, yes, so do as you want others to do unto you. And that's the basic law. If you were at the other person's place, what would you have done? Do that. Same is the logic for all the things. Dedication to public service and spirit of service. Now this is very important, or sense of service. The word service is important here. Now, why it is called civil service? Because the word service has some specific connotation. Service means something that is done without the expectations in return. That is service. Otherwise, you are just doing a job. You are not expected to be just somebody who is doing a job as a civil servant. You know this? What is the, if you are DM or even any other service, what is the official office timings for you? 9 to 5. 10 to 5. It is 24/7. On paper it is written, conduct rules. You are always, you has to be, I am talking about the officers. You have to be always available. So much so that if there is Saturday, Sunday and no office is happening, if you decide to go to some other place, maybe on leave or something, you cannot even leave the city without permission. You know this. Even on the leave day, proper official 50, no work is happening, you cannot leave. That is called, there is something called station leave. Why it is required? You should take permission from your seniors, especially if you are DM and SP, to leave even the station. Otherwise, it would be assumed that you are in station. Because why? 24 घंटे available. Why? Service. So, you are not doing job because you are paid. ये कोई employment guarantee program तो है नहीं. Is class 1 officers part of employment guarantee program? Not at all. So service is the activities or actions or work that you do for others without expecting anything in return. So what do you get in return? Apart from salary, you know, as far as the capacity of the officers and senior officers is concerned, their salary is minuscule. If they go to private sector, they will get 10 times more salary. Highest salary is around 2.5 lakhs or something, secretary. They are aram se get more than that. But still, it's not about the monetary benefit that you get. It is about your sense of service, because service always mean you are already been paid back. Then only you give service, because you are not expecting anything return. Okay, that's why the word duty. So it is due to you and you are doing it. So it becomes duty. You are not doing because you will get something, right? So that's why the word, otherwise word used as duty, and it's very, very important word. You do it without anything expecting in return. Then tolerance, ethical and moral dilemma, ठीक है, fairness, reasonableness. डायलेमा वगैरह हम और आगे देखेंगे, ठीक है. टॉलरेंस, व्हाट इज टॉलरेंस? Yes, respecting. See, tolerance, the word tolerance, your capacity to bear the uncomfortable situation with a smile on a face. Now, uncomfortable situation means maybe some different cultural values somebody having, you are not comfortable, but you have to be tolerant. And especially if you are all India service officer, your posting should be anywhere. So social values, cultural values and other values, you should be tolerant. Zero tolerance to corruption, मतलब क्या होता है फिर? Yeah, they can use this term in the question. I'm expecting this last 3 years. Zero tolerance. Because यहाँ पे tolerance भी आ रहा है and corruption. Zero tolerance to corruption. So यहाँ their word tolerance is used in a different context. That no compromise, no let go attitude. If you are corrupt, the law will reach you. Any doubt? कुछ doubt है अभी तक? कुछ, if you are doubt as in not just about technical doubt, any other doubt, any other expectation that you are thinking, or it is going okay? Yes. See, mostly in ethics paper, para basis is better, but it depends on the question. Most of the questions are, in ethics there are no facts, no, point 1, point 2, point 3. But what you can do is, you can write paras, you can number the paras if you want. One para 4-5 lines, second para 4-5 lines, third para 4-5 lines, depends. But some questions, if like attitude, emotional intelligence and the other later part of the ethics, which is a little bit technical, Prevention of Corruption Act, Citizen Charter. So if the question also comes technically, then you write point wise. Can you write essay point wise? So difficult. No, how would you communicate? Point wise makes sense when there is a clear cut factual information to be communicated, some specific argument, theoretical argument to be communicated. But if you think you can divide the question, we'll see how to format the questions, because question bhi dekhenge hum. So how to format the question also possible to be planned before. Essence, determinants, consequences, dimensions, ethics in private and public, ये क्या है? सिलेबस है ये, सिलेबस के पॉइंट्स हैं, इतना सोच रहे हैं. Essence of ethics क्या है? हमने already talked about golden rule. So most others more important than self, that is selflessness is the core of it, essence of it. Beyond physical survival, that is material benefits and physical survival. Larger good is very, very important. And integrity. So here, यहाँ तक तो ठीक है कि you should know that you have to do to others what you expect others to do unto you. You should understand that others are more important than you. Selflessness. You should also know that your existence is not just physical, it has to be beyond physical, moral, spiritual, non-material. You have to work for the larger good. It's all okay. You know it. Integrity is actually following it. So just knowing that I have to do this and just knowing that this is right is not important. You should also do according to what is right. Okay. So now, interesting thing is, and this has been again, people are debating about it, or people are having their own understanding about it. Have they ever asked, write down what is the essence of ethics with suitable example? What are the determinants of ethics with suitable example? Have they asked? कभी आया है सवाल? थोड़ा कब आया है? देख के बताओ. It has never come, and it will never come as far as my 11 years experience goes, because then it becomes theoretical question. This is also, whatever I am writing should not be taken in a theoretical form. Question would be formed in a very different way. Okay, what do you understand by ethics? What do you understand by values? Okay. What is the determinants of ethics? They have never asked. And first 5-6 years, I don't know even now, people make notes determinants of ethics as if this is going to be printed in the exam. No. Question तो ऐसा होता है कि means and ends debate. You know, whether right means or wrong means for right gains is good, or wrong means is always wrong even if done for right gain. This is getting into the topic of determinant of. They will never ask what is determinant of ethics, give suitable examples of determinant of ethics, like they will never ask. And thank God they are not asking. They are asking simple questions. So this just for sake of understanding the direction of what can be asked. These topics you should remember. You know, the golden rule. What exactly is the golden rule? If required, you can mention selflessness. These words important. He says they have never asked. Okay. Same is the case with determinants. So intention behind the action. What determines? Again, just try to understand. Don't try to mug it up. Not going to help. Okay, determinants 6 बोल रहे थे सर ने, ऐसे नहीं. Try to understand. Every ethical action has an intention behind. Intention very important. Can you do something unintentionally and then treat it as ethical or unethical? आपने किसी को intentionally मदद कर दी. Should you take credit of it? Unintentionally. No, just happened. Like आप जा रहे थे, किसी को गलती से मदद हो गई. वैसे किसी को if you happen to harm somebody unintentionally, will it be unethical? Will it be unethical? नहीं, otherwise unintentionally. Okay, it's I am not talking about you doing it intentionally and later on saying that it was unintentional. वो फिर dishonesty हो गया. Sometimes we do mistakes. So intention judge होता है. More than action, what is judged on ethical ground is intention behind it. Means versus ends, ये तो बहुत उस पर बहुत बार सवाल आया हुआ है. What is means versus end debate? I think at least 3-4 questions they have asked till now. Same. What is this debate? अभी just बताया मैंने. Let us see. Let us prove that you were not half sleeping when I was speaking. Yes, that case study was good example. Actually, that case study was based on this debate. Means versus ends. Matlab? Yes. That can we justify or can we follow violence to get India's freedom? Whom I am talking about? Revolutionaries, but whose stand we will take? Mahatma Gandhi. He said no, Chauri Chaura is the best example. He called off the which movement, which one? Non-cooperation, and said that no, this I will not, because this is not the violence will never be accepted. आपके political views कुछ भी हो, ethics paper में it has to be Mahatma Gandhi always. See, do or kill नहीं है, do or die. Killing yourself for something great, it has to be considered ethical, highest ethical sacrifice. Sacrifice is the highest ethical value. Because, and why are you saying do or die? Because the other side is ready to kill you. That is the best. The word sacrifice has to come in. That is the best way to contribute to the society. Otherwise, why would we call all the soldiers, all the martyrs, all the those who lay their life for the country. There was a question also in 2016 somewhere, patriotism. You know, they have mentioned about this in question itself. Laying one's life for the country is considered to be the most patriotic of the actions by that individual can do. However, there are other practical day-to-day ways of showing your patriotism. वो बोलो, उस पे बात. So they have accepted sacrificing one's own life for something greater good, because larger good वाला example तो आ ही रहा है. And by the way, never misunderstand violence means, you know, ऑपरेशन थिएटर में किसी का पेट काट दिया डॉक्टर ने. इज इट वायलेंस? नो नो, इट्स वायलेंस. ब्लड आ रहा है. वायलेंस शुड नॉट बी टेकन इन दैट वे. वायलेंस इज द इंटेंशन ऑफ टोटल डिस्ट्रक्शंस ऑफ द अदर. प्लीज अगेन, ये डेफिनेशन है वायलेंस की. Violence is the actions with the intentions of total destruction of others. दूसरों को पूर्णतः खत्म करने की, और harm भी यूज कर सकते हैं, to harm and total destruction of the other. आपका PSIR है क्या? फिर all PSIR के example, because see, I'll tell you, the most inconsistent optional for the ethics is PSIR, because in PSIR there are different ethics, you know, power, strength, security. You see, international relation वाला आता है, उसमें अलग होता है, nation first. Now see, in IR you are saying nation first, oh, and in individual life is saying others first, तो conflict हो जाता है. And दोनों ethical माने जाते हैं, because there the nation first means the larger good. That's why it is. PSIR थोड़ा सा offbeat हो जाता है. Example, try to give simple, straightforward. Luckily we have freedom movement का example in the form of Mahatma Gandhi and other contributors also. But we have so many other examples also. Bureaucracy का example, social lives के examples. Okay, so आप जब भी this is just addition to your own dictionary also, whenever you think of total destruction of someone else, you are being violent. Think of, इसको तो मैं, you are violent. So in that case, if you rob someone, it is nothing short of violence. There might not be even a drop of blood, but it is violence. That's why Gandhiji said poverty is the worst form of violence. Why? Why poverty is the worst form of violence? His understanding of violence is not like कि, you know, खून आ गया बस violence हो गया, तो फिर तो पूरे डॉक्टर सब violent हो गए. All doctors become violent. They are not violent, because they are not doing it for your total destruction. They are doing it saving you. Like for example, you are in fighting somewhere in the remote Siachen glacier somewhere, and you know one of your army men got injured 3-4 days back. Somehow you are, because there is no war is happening. Now you realize, and your training also says so, that his foot or his hand, whatever, is getting the, you know, infection, gangrene and infection. And you know, as a part of training only, you have been told by doctors and all the experts and all, that the only way to do it is cut that part off. Is it violence? But you are cutting your friends. It is not. You have to understand. That's why the actions done with the intention of total destruction of the. Yeah. Poverty is the worst form of violence. Worst क्यों? Because it is invisible. Explicit violence, you can say it is wrong. Poverty here, now here assumption is poverty is happening because of somebody else's unreasonable, unethical amassing of wealth. So they are violent. Exploitation is violence. And by the way, Gandhiji himself had used exactly similar thing in Quit India. because somebody asked him. Many asked him. I think British only asked him, "How can you talk about do and die and stuff? You are such a non-violent person." He, eh? Why? Let me finish this. What I was talking. So, when there Gandhiji himself has said, what you are doing is violence. You are exploiting us. You are taking all the resource back. We are just resisting that violence with peaceful means. We are just protesting. In what way it is violence? It later on turned to be, because Gandhi said, I cannot control each and every person. I can guarantee, I have always openly sent the message that it should be non-violent and the protest. Okay. Yes. Not knowing something basically. वो तो अलग levels है, because if you are poor then everything, you are, no, not just intellect, you are taking away their self-esteem, you are taking away their health and education, you are taking away their spiritual exploration chances. वो जिंदगी को एक्सप्लोर कब करेंगे, जिंदगी जीने में ही खत्म हो जाता है, वो तो अलग एस्पेक्ट है उसका. इंडिविजुअल सेट ऑफ मॉरल वैल्यूज, इमीडिएट ग्रुप ऑफ एथिकल वैल्यूज, ठीक है, सोसाइटी सेट ऑफ एथिकल वैल्यूज, ट्रेडिशंस, यूनिवर्सल वैल्यूज, वो हम देखेंगे आगे. Consequences of ethics. Now, don't get into the consequentialism of John Stuart Mill and Bentham. उस पे सवाल जरूर आया, you know, whether your ethicality should be decided on the basis of what result it produce, or it should be decided on the basis of the pure principle. होता है ना कि if you do something because it is going to help many, but it might harm somebody. वो ट्रेन वाला पूरा आपको पता होगा, might have seen that thought experiment, that if you are the one who can change the direction of the train, would you change the direction of the train when it is, if it is not changed, it will kill maybe 4 or 5 children, and if it change the direction, it will kill 1 or 2 old people. Would you do it? An only option that you have, like that. वो deontological and वो सब इतना, क्योंकि उन्होंने भी नहीं कभी पूछा. I don't know till today why people study this deontological and this thing unless they study in the form of some example. UPSC has never asked Kant's deontological perspective and compare it with utilitarian perspective of John Stuart Mill. Give your opinion or your reasons for this. Theoretical पूछा ही नहीं है. हाँ, ये जरूर होता है. Being a civil servant, would you think something on the basis of what its impact on the masses, or you take the decision on the basis of just, you know, you are one person at stake, I'll do whatever is the right thing to do, right? So anyway, so consequences ethics means what ethics brings to us. Why ethical? By the way, this theme they have always asked. Why one has to be ethical? Bring to society? Why society has to think about ethicality? क्यों ethic सीधा ऐसे रहो ना कि जिसकी लाठी उसकी भैंस. Might is right. What is the problem with this? See, you need to thought wise तो होना चाहिए, but as far as exam is concerned, वो thought सिर्फ काम करनी है, उसके examples होने चाहिए. Anyway, why it shouldn't be might is right? What's the problem? We are came from jungle only. No problem. There is no chaos in the jungle. They are also killing each other whenever there is fight happening. Why? ये तो बेसिक सवाल है. एथिक्स पढ़ना तो छोड़ो, एथिक्स बनना ही क्यों है? And by the way, I can tell you, at least one of the friend from your circle, and I don't know the percentage, but percentage of the bureaucrats would genuinely have this question. बोला है, पावर, जितना हो सके whatever is important, promotion, do whatever required, get promoted. For example, I'm saying earn money. ये सब morality सब बकवास है. And I can guarantee you many say this. कौन moral है भाई? कोई नहीं है. Like that. And by the way, this exactly, मैं तो बात कर रहा हूँ normal understanding में. This theme has been again covered in the question. That all politician job is considered to be dirty job, nobody wants to get into. The young and moral and ethical people do not hesitate to get into the politics. How would you persuade them to get into the politics? Yes, पूछा हुआ है सवाल. Only thing is, उसको you try to bring these issues from the book to the real life. नहीं, जंगल में शेर तो बच रहे हैं, वो तो भी वायलेंस है एक दूसरे के साथ. नो, पॉइंट आपका सही है. अगेन इसके दो आंसर्स हैं. एक यूटिलिटेरियन पर्सपेक्टिव है जो आप सब बता रहे हो कि फिर तो सबका ही like for example, general typical classical example is if everybody decides to jump the signal, nobody can move. Why do we jump signal? जल्दी पहुंचना है. If everybody decides to जल्दी पहुंचना, nobody will reach forget जल्दी in time. ये पॉइंट यूटिलिटेरियन है कि भाई सबका भला हो इसलिए चल रहा है, नहीं तो फिर विदाउट एथिक्स ऑल्सो वी वुड हैव बीन वेरी गुड. But there is another, this is what John Stuart Mill and utilitarian perspective will tell you. Kant said, and इसका आंसर मैंने ऑलरेडी आपको दे दिया है, because of the rationality development that has happened in human evolution, you cannot be but ethical. You cannot be but ethical. You're getting my point? Classic example is, in spite of so many things happened in Mahabharata, right from the outraging of the modesty of Draupadi से लेके this exile of whatever 12 years, 13 years in total, coming back again had to fight, and Arjun is saying, मैं क्यों कर रहा हूँ? He's still thinking that, why? Just imagine, in spite of so much he has faced, he still thinks. That is human being. It's not that वो right wrong उस पर डिबेट अलग है, लेकिन he still thinks that मैं ये सब क्यों कर रहा हूँ? Because he is ethical only. When he is thinking, he is trying to be selfless only, but in a very narrow way selfless. That's what Bhagwan Krishna is trying to say him. You think that I am doing something selfless act, but it's very narrow understanding of the society. Your role is not just Arjun as a human being. Your role as the societal duty that has been put on you to protect the righteousness, to protect the dharma. It's simple. You know the person तुकाराम ओम्बले? ये भी ऐसा एग्जाम्पल है जिसको कोट करना ही है. करेज का तो मतलब अटमोस्ट एग्जाम्पल है. सेल्फलेसनेस का तो अटमोस्ट एग्जाम्पल है. बीइंग अ पुलिस ऑफिसर, ही न्यू आई एम गोइंग टू बी किल्ड. साहब के हाथ में मशीन गन है, मतलब व्हाटएवर AK-47, तो एक थोड़ा ट्रिगर, एंड पुलिस पर्सन नोज हाउ इट कैन बी ट्रिगर्ड, एंड ही सेड आई विल नॉट लीव यू. The international impact, this person should be given something, I think already given some awards, but I don't know whether Padma Shri or something should be given, because international relations, because of he could catch hold of Kasab alive. The whole Pakistan and India thing, get in a different situation. IR बोल रहा हूँ मैं, ethics में नहीं लिखना ये, but I am saying the huge contribution. क्या बता रहा था मैं? तुकाराम ओम्बले ठीक है, बट वो एग्जाम्पल क्यों आया था? जोर से बोलिए. नहीं, वो तो बहुत जनरल हो गया. यस, तो there is this concept called युग धर्म. युग धर्म means इन दिस पर्टिकुलर एरा आपका एक ड्यूटी है, इंडिविजुअली आपका ड्यूटी अलग हो सकता है। एज एन ऑफिसर नाउ वॉज ही राइट विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू हिज फैमिली? इट्स ऑलमोस्ट सुसाइडल टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट, ऑलमोस्ट। वॉज ही राइट विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू हिज फैमिली? On a narrow understanding, no, he was wrong. Now just look at his children. वो कैसे फाइट बैक करेंगे? जैसे भी उनको मिलेगा, सोसाइटी विल ट्राई टू हेल्प देम इकोनॉमिकली एंड अदरवाइज, बट so when it comes to, and as an officer you will be, case study यही ऐसे बन रही है। One of the case studies says your son is having some terminal illness, needs surgery, blah blah blah, and you are not 25 lakhs or some big amount, and you have no money. Obviously you never did corruption, but there is an offer and you have to do a small thing which all other corrupt officers do anyway, leaking some information to tender information to someone. Anyway both are good. उदाहरण के तौर पे बोल रहा हूँ मैं, ये LNT एंड DLF, इसको ऐसे मत पकड़ो कि दोनों में से कोई करप्ट है। एग्जाम्पल के दोनों इक्विवेलेंट है, दोनों कर लेंगे इंप्लीमेंट, बोथ विल बी एबल टू इंप्लीमेंट दी प्रोजेक्ट, बट किसी एक को थोड़ा, बिकॉज प्रोजेक्ट तो 900 करोड़ का है, तो वो 25 लाख तो ऐसे ही दे देंगे, एंड एनीवे द प्रोडक्ट विल बी ऑलमोस्ट एट पार, both are good companies, you are also getting benefited and your responsibility towards your child, and anyway you are one who is looting, ये भी एक लॉजिक रहता है। Anyway you are looting someone who is looting others, so क्या दिक्कत है? I am not doing anything wrong, he is doing corruption, I am just saving my child. By the way, this argument you have to write in the examination be wrong, write one of the options and then you have to write it wrong. ये पूछा गया है सवाल उदाहरण के तौर पे। तो अभी भी वो ऐसा लग रहा है कि वो लिंक टूट गया जो बीच में, किस कोई तो बता रहा था वो चीज टूट, ठीक है आ जाएगा। तो दुकरम उमले के कंटेक्स्ट पे जब बोल रहे थे, तो सोसाइटी, वॉट एवर सोसाइटी थिंग्स इज राइट, sorry, whatever that thing, the utility of that thing to be right and what is right. So some places, especially the individual rights, individual dignity, the decision has to be taken on the basis of right, okay, or if it is about the larger issue, complex issue, societal issue, like the flood relief operations. Now there you cannot pick and choose each and every individual and take it morally on you. What would you do? Like Amarnath, recently this lot of rain happened, or some terrorist attack happened. What would you do to save maximum possible citizens and have least possible casualty? Now there individually seen as numbers, there is no option, you have to have this perspective. You cannot just run behind one and then let 50 die. No, I have to save this because he met me first. It's egoistic morality, that should not be. As an officer you should be very clear what it should be, and these kind of dilemmas they do ask in examination. Okay, एक को बचाने के लिए कितनों को सेव करें? In fact there was one very interesting, I was very it is funny only the kind of question that they asked, this flood thing. Have you seen this question? Very different question. Yeah, and you have some limited boats and there are some 6-7 types of people, politician, patients, women and children, age old, and you have to give the sequence, not some dilemma. Okay, tell me whom we will you save first, why? And by the way, there is no best answer like this is the correct answer. It's not Williams, no? A B C D, C D A B. What justification are you giving? Creative, there are some creative pointers also, like why would you save the hospital staff first? Because they will immediately work as the volunteers. Why would you save the mountaineers immediately? Because they will guide the rescue teams immediately, because they might be habitual to the, so they have to be, you have to, every place you cannot be emotional. First and foremost सीनियर सिटीजन, बुढ़े लोग हैं उनको पहले बचाओ, मर जाएंगे। देन then women and children. So ultimately mountaineers will be at the last. So normally on a lighter note society में होता है ना, if you are rich, if you are male, if you are healthy, okay, you will be at the last priority of the government. Rich, male and healthy तो last priority होती है. बाकी सब ये अच्छी चीज़ है कि मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि गलत है, तो लाइटर नोट में बोल रहा था, ठीक है. तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. व्हाट एथिक्स ब्रिंग्स? फर्स्ट, स्टेबल एंड पीसफुल सोसाइटी. ओके, psychological satisfaction. By the way, that's the human being. I can guarantee you, all of you might have felt at least 1,000 times in your life very good about yourself, very happy about yourself when you help someone else at the cost of some money or something of yours. नहीं करे हो तो यूपीएससी भी मत दो. एक भी नहीं. If you are not even felt even once, then you are not eligible to be officer. You know. तो ये एंड दी एग्जाम्पल जो भी होंगे वो भी थोड़ा रिमाइंड. तो साइकोलॉजी सेटिस्फैक्शन फॉर द इंडिविजुअल. मॉरल ग्रोथ ऑफ द सोसाइटी ओवरऑल. सोसाइटी में देयर इज ओवरऑल मॉरल ग्रोथ. देयर यू माइट हैव सीन सम वीडियो आई हैड सीन समवेयर इन न्यूजीलैंड और समथिंग. देयर आर सम ओपन शॉप्स. ओके, ओपन शॉप्स में देयर विल बी स्टॉल्स. There will be packets of tomato, onion and stuff, 1 kg, price written on it, and there will be, for example, UPI code. No person sitting, no CCTV. You just go, take the packet, pay the money and go. Now, this is a very good example when society's overall ethics. I'm not saying, I'm not comparing New Zealand and India, but the good thing we have to appreciate. Just imagine in India. On a lighter note again, there are good people also in India also, but even if the shopkeeper is sitting, there is a possibility that you can, हो सकता है. ये लिखना नहीं है, but just write the positive example of New Zealand or some country you may not. It's a very good practical example कि society का जो है ethicality growth हो गया. Continuity and consistency. Whenever you are ethical, the most very big contribution that ethicality brings in society is it brings in predictability, continuity in the behavior. Simple. If you are like punctuality, is the punctuality ethical value? Yes. We'll meet at 11 o'clock. At what? I plan my day, you plan your day according to that 11 o'clock. So predictability है, एक continuity है. If you are an officer, good officer, you have been honest officer. Now, by the way, 90% of the case studies will mention you are SDM blah blah and a very honest officer. They will all पहले ही बता देंगे कि आप तो honest है. और Mr. Suresh also would be honest officer. Why? Because honesty brings the continuity, reliability, predictability, and consistency in your behavior. We know what is going to be done. ठीक है. जस्टिस एंड वेलफेयर एज अ मैटर ऑफ वैल्यू. जस्टिस इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट बेसिक वैल्यूज ऑन विच द सोशो पॉलिटिकल एथिक्स इज एस्टेब्लिश्ड. इक्वालिटी, लिबर्टी, एवरीथिंग बॉइल्स डाउन टू जस्टिस. ओके, इवन इक्वालिटी भी जस्टिस से ही निकला है. एंड ओवरऑल वेलबींग तो है. इसके अलावा व्हाट डू यू थिंक इज द बेनिफिट, इज द कंट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ टॉकिंग अबाउट प्रोपेगेटिंग, maintaining, following ethicality? ठीक है. I think it's mostly comprehensive. Determine करने वाले, deciders, constituting factors, but उसके अंदर घुसो ही मत. I'm again telling you, if you're asking if you're asking just like that in English way, it's okay for the knowing of language English. They have never, I don't know why they have put in that thing. We know the question straight away. What are the determinants of ethics? They have never asked. And if you are thinking, no sir, इस साल भी पूछ सकते हैं, go ahead then. no problem. Matlab it's up to you, because and nobody will tell you. That's the reason PYQs, please. आज एक जाने के बाद, you have to do one thing. You have to go through PYQs. Read PYQs, theory, case studies. Just read. Sit 1 or 2 hours, 2.5 hours with PYQs. Read what they are asking. Possibly get go the year wise. So you will feel, okay, 2022 में ये आया था, 23 में ये आया था, rather than having consolidated, whichever way you think. But think what you could have written. I am not saying write. At least think and read all the theory questions, and possibly all the case study questions. You will have a different eye altogether. And just keep syllabus. You understand ये क्या, ये नहीं भी देते तो भी. Now after 11 years of question PYQ set we have, no one even need to go back to the syllabus. At least the first 3 chapters, very abstract. Later chapters they have straight away asked. Now ये भी ऐसे ही अभी है syllabus में, तो एक theoretical, ये ऐसे भी पूछा कभी नहीं. They have never asked what are the dimensions of ethics, what do you mean by descriptive ethics, what are normative ethics. The point in, why would they ask? They did not want to just add one more theoretical paper. Okay, how many of you actually seen honestly PYQs, reasonably thoroughly? So you might have got the feeling. सवाल तो इतने मुश्किल भी नहीं है. हाँ, the main difficulty in ethics paper is इसमें लिखे क्या. No, I understood the section of the answer. What should be written समझ में नहीं आ रहा, right? So ये descriptive ethics means what is, normative ethics is what ought to be, meta ethics is why, applied ethics is where. Applied ethics means specifically like, doctors ethics, engineers ethics, bankers ethics. Okay. जैसे for example, if you are a flight traveler, so there are some basic simple ethical code that you should maintain. You know this. You cannot shout when it is a criminal act. You cannot utter the words like hijack, bomb, blast. You cannot. If you will be criminally penalized. Why? Here you do, nobody is going to ask you. There is some set of ethics in particular situation. Can you do that? You cannot. Just shout something. Even you shout Osama bin Laden, you will be arrested immediately. And I can tell you, you utter a very loudly a simple word, hijack, very loudly, guarantee you it's in the part of policy that the next nearest this thing they have to land their flight. इतना वो strict है, ठीक है, तो ये नहीं कर सकते वहाँ. तो anyway, तो ये area wise अलग होते हैं. अभी भी बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं पूछा है. I have not seen questions, specific doctors ethics, specific bankers ethics. Case study they have kind of intertwined those things, like the case study that we talked about. It's a proper bankers ethics that you cannot send the bank's money to someone else without proper authority. Whether you are a government bank servant or not private bank servant, you cannot do that. It's part of your ethics. And ethics in public and private relation. Yes, this very important, especially in the case study. You should be very clear as to what is good and ethical in private relationship and what is good and ethical in public relationship. Okay, like for example, objectivity, okay, or integrity, compassion. This is very, very important in public sector. But in private relations, compassion does not have much role to play. Do you agree? Example. Which example? ability to understand feeling of others. Okay. Where is the private relation? You automatically compassionate. Okay. That is compassion or responsibility? Love is different, compassion is different. Compassion automatically assumes the suffering and the pain of the others. Love and care is, even before suffering, she will feed you. Private relations, love and care is possible. Honesty is very, very important. Okay. But compassion doesn't fall much here. Why? Can you show compassion to your brother? It's because I'm compassionate to you, I'm helping you. Or your spouse. You cannot. Because there is a strong sense of equality, especially equal relations. And if it is not equal relation, there is a sense of responsibility. What your father feels for you is not compassion, responsibility. Responsibility is different, compassion is different. Responsibility is thorough. It is irrespective of the pain and suffering. One of the parties, okay, my son and daughter should not be in pain and suffering. But without that also there is a lot of things the father and mother has to do. तो एक समझने पब्लिक में कंपैशन, वो कंपैशन है, पब्लिक है वो. हाँ, तो मोरालिटी इंडिविजुअल कैपेसिटी में ही है पूरी. ऑल एथिक्स पेपर इज अबाउट इंडिविजुअल कैपेसिटी ओनली ना. दे विल नेवर आस्क वेदर सोसाइटी वाज रॉन्ग. व्हाट इंडिविजुअल शुड डू. एथिक्स इज ऑल अबाउट इंडिविजुअल, राइट. सोसाइटी का अपना कंपास थोड़ी, इट्स ऑल इंडिविजुअल्स. पब्लिक हियर, पब्लिक मीन्स जैसे पब्लिक प्लेसेस, ओके, पब्लिक फाइनेंस, public service. What do you mean by public here? Not private. Private means what? Like friendship is a private thing. Family relation is a private thing. Emotional relationship is a private thing. Even now, I'll tell you. अभी Akhilesh Yadav and Dimple Yadav both are sitting in the parliament. पता है ना? नहीं पता है. ये दो कौन पता है? ये तो पता है कौन है. Anyway, सबको पता है. तो now they are husband wife, but you see their conduct in the parliament. It has to be according to the public demand. ऐसा नहीं कि आप इधर बैठो मैं इधर बैठेंगे, नहीं. Because public place, even private relations has to be public. Even for example, if he has to or she has to address, how she will address? My party leader अखिलेश यादव. He'll not say हमारे जी, ऐसे नहीं बोले, वो घर पे. Why? That divide has to be. ये तो कंडक्ट की बात है, एथिक्स की बात नहीं है, कंडक्ट की बात. बट एथिक्स भी अलग अलग है. ओके. It's not that they are completely watertight difference, but the most important thing, integrity, objectivity, rationality is like core. Without that, there is no public service or public place also. Like public place, if you are standing there, you know, somebody comes, okay, for something like any public place, चाय की दुकान भी है, and there is a lot of crowd, and you are standing there, and one person comes, the other person tries to, you know, jump him. What would you do? अरे नहीं, वो पहले आए थे, उनको पहले दो. Why? Even if that person is your friend, अरे wait, let him go first because he has come first. And if you do otherwise, you know you'll feel bad. यार उसको तो आपसे पहले आया था, he has come much before you, but तो आप मेरे दोस्त थे इसलिए मैंने कर दिया. ठीक है. तो वो ये क्यों आता है? केस स्टडीज में ये कंफ्यूजिंग सिचुएशंस क्रिएट करते हैं. योर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टुवर्ड्स योर प्राइवेट एथिक्स एंड योर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टुवर्ड्स पब्लिक एथिक्स. व्हाट वुड यू पुट फर्स्ट इन व्हाट सिचुएशन, लाइक दैट. ओके. कितने बजे तक लेक्चर है? 2 ना? हाँ, तो टाइम है. कुछ डाउट है अभी, क्योंकि अभी सीधा क्वेश्चन पे जा रहे हैं हम। ये फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ ह्यूमन वैल्यूज वाला पार्ट आज कवर हो जाएगा, बट कवर तो अभी शुरू होगा, क्वेश्चंस के बिना नहीं होगा। तो व्हाट यू हैव टू डू इज यू हैव टू राइट डाउन द क्वेश्चन। लिखो क्वेश्चन, इफ पॉसिबल राइट विद सम अदर इंक, रेड पेन से वगैरह लिखोगे तो फिर आंसर ब्लू से होता है ना बाद में, व्हेन यू रीड बेटर। तो क्वेश्चन इज व्हाट डू यू अंडरस्टैंड बाय एथिकल ह्यूमन कंडक्ट? In what way it is important to be ethical along with being professionally competent? ठीक है, now this had come in the sample question paper. You know, there was a sample question paper in 2013 when they initially came with new syllabus, ethics is introduced, so nobody knew what would be the question paper, so they had released UPSC, this would be the kind of questions we'll ask and in actual examination, and they repeated 2 questions as it is, including case study. Nobody knew, literally nobody. We were shocked because I was also participant in the examination. अरे पहले ही पता होता, they did not mention that we'll do it. Interesting काम किया उन्होंने, ठीक है। तो yes, what is the demand of the question? What is the question asking you to write? You can tell me in English, Hindi, whichever language I understand. What is the demand of the question? Not introduction. क्या पूछ रहे हैं वो? Okay. Okay. Second part. Yes. That is the most important thing. That जो हमने पहले भी बोला, सिर्फ इंटेंशन ठीक होने से कोई प्रोफेशनल कॉम्पिटेंसी भी चाहिए। एंड फर्स्ट में क्या है, एथिकल ह्यूमन कंडक्ट को आपको बेसिकली डिफाइन करना है कि व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज एथिकल ह्यूमन कंडक्ट, व्हाट मेक्स द कंडक्ट ऑफ अ ह्यूमन एथिकल, क्या बनाता है। So whatever is the essence of ethics, if it is followed, then it becomes ethical human conduct, which includes, the golden rule that we talked about, larger good, conscience, and basically selflessness. So decision is based on the basis of selflessness. किसी और का or others should be put first and then self. And second is very, very important to explain as to why, in what way it is important to be ethical along with being professionally competent. Now, what is important? What is the point that you need to emphasize more? in what way it is important to be ethical along with being professionally competent. So it's like this, professionally competent तो important है ही, but in addition to that, why it is important to be ethical? That's the question. Why it is important to have both? It's not the question. एक प्रोफेशनल कॉम्पिटेंस तो इंपॉर्टेंट है ही. एक सवाल क्यों पूछा था पता है? सीधा बात. For a bureaucrat, for a civil servant, obviously it is important to know history, geography, polity, economy, GS optional. Along with that, why it is important to know ethics? क्योंकि हम ला रहे हैं. समझ में आया? Because when you, before the examination, okay, before the examination, before the ethics came into picture, obviously it is considered to be, you have to know so many things, you have to read so many things, you have to have this ability, that ability, you have to go through training. वो तो प्रोफेशनल कंपिटेंस आपको बना देगा. बट अभी जो हम लेके आ रहे हैं एथिक्स, वो क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट है? ये नहीं कि इसका नहीं लिखना है, बट in what way it is important to be ethical. They are not asking in what way it is important both to be ethical and professionally competent both. That's not the wording. और मैं यही बोल रहा हूँ, if you think वो इसीलिए आया है because वो first question. Yes, and that's why ethical, and that's why question is ethical human conduct. इसको डिफाइन करो, डिस्क्राइब करो, एक्सप्लेन करो. एंड एथिकल होना क्यों जरूरी है? प्रोफेशनल कंपिटेंट होना जरूरी तो है ही. आया समझ? एंड दैट टोन हैज टू बी मेंटेन्ड. यू कैनॉट स्टार्ट, सब हेडिंग शुड नॉट बी प्रोफेशनली कंपिटेंट. नो, सब हेडिंग शुड बी एथिकल along with प्रोफेशनल कंपिटेंट तो है ही. बिकॉज सी, यू रियली नीड explanation to convince that one has to be professionally competent in that profession. तो assumed है, मतलब वो भी लिखना है because efficiency, problem solving, creativity, innovation, leading by example, these things, unless you know the thing, you cannot implement. However, important thing is to be, and there is nothing to be balanced, by the way. The word balance is not very appropriate here, as in generally the word balance is used when the two things are kind of opposite to each other, a trade off. ये करे या ये करे, दोनों को बैलेंस करना पड़ता है. These are not against each other. Like personal benefit, personal interest and public interest, you have to balance, because वो एक दूसरे के अपोजिट जाते हैं. मुझे तो छुट्टी चाहिए थी लेकिन काम करना है. यहाँ पे ऐसा नहीं है. तो इट्स नॉट अबाउट बैलेंसिंग, इट्स अबाउट, इट्स लाइक दिस. यू कैन बी प्रोफेशनली कॉम्पिटेंट, you can be very well in your this thing, but if you are not ethical, then there is a big problem, right? There is this, and by the way, same question at least 6-7 times it has come in a different version. One of the question is in the form of quote. I think the quote is of what is that fellow, Warren Buffett. When you want to hire people, you look for 3 things: integrity, intelligence and energy. And if you do not have first, integrity, the later 2 will kill you. क्या बोल रहे हैं वो? इंटेलिजेंस एंड इंटीग्रिटी तो चाहिए ही, बट अगर फर्स्ट नहीं है, ये यूपीएससी का कोड बता रहा हूँ मैं, वॉरेन बफे, आई थिंक वॉरेन बफे का ही है, आई डोंट रिमेंबर ईयर, 2017 में भी. तो पॉइंट इज, it has to be established that why it is important to be ethical. That's the question, and along with ethical human. ठीक है, देखो, start writing answer. You will have 5-7 minutes. Start writing faster, not proper answer, pointers. You may not write exactly. ठीक है, at least you could think, write. How is the experience as to, was it very difficult to write, generate thoughts? I'm not talking about good answer, bad answer, I'm talking about answer. Structuring, okay. It was okay. Okay, how have you structured? You introduced with what? Correct, ethical human conduct. Yes, what is ethical human conduct? If now, if you can read, anybody? Okay. 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 Hmm? Okay. Or components, what all components you have mentioned? Yes. Okay. What about you? Okay. Good. See, but only thing is now, all what you have said, and you obviously heard also, if you can include almost all of what different thoughts you said and then write in one or two steps, you know, that ethical human conduct is obviously any conduct of a human which is taken with an intention of selflessness. Okay, because ultimately intention is what matters. Selflessness, greater good, and the conduct is in accordance with the set principles or values which promote the ethical or moral society or something of that sort. whichever वो end society करो, ऐसे करो, world करो, and it's just definition. Then you have to also mention, because it's not just define. Yes, then for example, okay, showing compassion, you need to mention the word compassion. Yes, एग्जाम्पल तो चाहिए, नहीं लिखा कुछ भी. एग्जाम्पल को सिंपल एग्जाम्पल्स, अभी इतने तो डिस्कस किया अभी हमने. Yes, that also you can, patriot, but see, mention that particular value. Yes, selflessness. Yes, अभी सोचो एग्जाम्पल, इतना क्या एथिकल ह्यूमन कंडक्ट, आप अपना खुद सोचो. Ethical human conduct is means any conduct done with the intention blah blah blah. For example, no, anything. If you want to write compassion, no problem. See, you have to write, like for example, you mentioned whenever the elderly person approaches I, or the person voluntarily gives away the seat to the elderly person, showing compassion. It is one of the compassionate ethical conduct, or showing compassion. Also, same wording. This is exactly the wording, should be the wording in the answer. That is little difficult because it's a narration. This somewhere else you can mention. Here, ethical human conduct. Like for example, whenever I when I missed to pay the hotel from where I ate, I went back, and because I felt guilt, I went back and paid back the amount that was due to him, because और फर्स्ट पर्सन से भी लिख सकते, क्या कोई दिक्कत। फॉर मी इट इज एथिकल ह्यूमन कंडक्ट फॉर एनी सिविल सर्वेंट, ओके, adjudicating any tender, okay, or for any civil servant inspecting the implementation of any project without any personal interest, without any lack of what it is called, lackadaisical approach, or somebody who is voluntarily disclosing income, that is obviously best, because see, some example, or try to bring example from the administrative point of view, because in this paper it looks better, not that the other examples should not be there. So this is called ethical human conduct, or somebody who is that lying on the road, needing somebody, accident is also very good example. So somebody is met an accident and perhaps wanting help. The other person who is supposed to be, who is passing by, may be busy in his own life, otherwise also a sense of urgency. However, it would be considered ethical human conduct if he helps. ऐसे भी लिख सकते हैं hypothetically. Ultimately, we know what is ethical human conduct is, right? Or respecting elders who have contributed to our society, our life personally, including our parents and others. This is also ethical human conduct. Anything that is considered, yes. Yes, even for that the example is Kautilya is not even using the candle given by the king for the personal book that he is writing. Is considered ethical human. No, so I am saying these are like, no, you should not write all the examples. So this is the first part, okay. Anyway, it is a 10 marker, right? So you have to write in 2 pages, 150 words. Okay, so you introduced first ethical human conduct, a definition. Straight away you can write, for example, 1 or 2 examples. This might be maybe 1 or 2 lines like this, right? Now comes, what was the wording? Important to be ethical. Can be subheading. नहीं इसके अंदर नहीं, why it is important, it just subheading है, इसमें वही point आएंगे, like for example, if you want to write like this, you can write 1 or 2, or if you want to write like this, okay, professional competence is considered to be one of the core or one of the central thing for that particular job. Anybody who is considered to be knowing the rules, knowing the tricks, knowing the, or having the ability or having the intelligence enough to have the solutions to the problems in that profession is considered to be the most professionally competent. And for all societal functions, and especially in the civil service, professional competence is most crucial. However, फिर आंसर आएगा, along with professional competence, what is important is to have ethical standard. Because फिर इसमें लिखना है what happens if somebody is not ethical, then you can write the quote that I just mentioned. Because see, मैंने आंसर पहले डिस्कस किया था. I thought you will mention that quote. You may not have got the time, but because मैंने 7 मिनट तो शायद नहीं दिया था आपको, तो पहले ही कंक्लूजन में लिख सकते हैं. हाँ, यस, वो वॉरेन बफे का. देन एग्जाम्पल्स, ओके, यू कैन से many, for example, एक example, like many players in the cricket team of India is considered to be professionally competent, but they have been unfortunately involving into match fixing and illegitimate gains out of ball tampering. तो फिर भी ठीक है, ठीक नहीं है, वो रूल के गेम की बात है. ये तो प्रॉपर अनएथिकल टुवर्ड्स सोसाइटी, टुवर्ड्स बीसीसीआई ना. बॉल टेम्परिंग तो फिर भी आप इसलिए करो कि अपनी टीम जीत जाए, रॉन्ग मीन्स है वो, अनएथिकल वो भी है, बट अनएथिकल इन द सेंस आप प्रोफेशन में रह रहे हो और आपका कंडक्ट ये है. डॉक्टर्स, those who are radiologists getting into the sex determination test of the children, unethical practice. प्रोफेशनली कंपिटेंट है, उनको पता है कैसे चलाना है, ठीक है, समझ में आया. देन बट वो ठीक है, वो तो कंपनी पे चला जाएगा, एथिकल ह्यूमन कंडक्ट डाल सकते हैं, बट सी यू हैव टू एस्टेब्लिश दैट दे आर प्रोफेशनली कॉम्पिटेंट, बट गेटिंग इनटू द व्हाट इज द गारंटी दैट प्रोफेशनल. इनफैक्ट मैं तो बोलता हूँ धुआं ज्यादा आ रहा है तो यू आर नॉट प्रोफेशनली कॉम्पिटेंट. आप ठीक से वो you have to put your STP in proper this thing, you have to invest the money and enhance the efficiency of your STP. But I'm not, you can mention if you are not able to remember others. Then the example comparison between A.Q. Khan and APJ Abdul Kalam, both were actually nuclear scientists, they knew how things work, but then one worked for, selling those things, technology illegitimate to North Korea, and Abdul Kalam is considered to be the, the other aspects. Then you can also mention imaginary, not all the examples again you should mention. See, if you write point about what happens, larger good is at the stake, you can take example of Harshad Mehta, expert of his field, trading and everything, but he used it for the wrong, so ethicality is completely gone. He exploited others for this, right? And this happens many places. Being expert is many officers who are expert only get into, because they become so expert they think I can manipulate anybody. Okay. So if you have pointers, 3-4 pointers, and of that if you have examples, how it impacts the larger good, how it amounts to criminal act, how it amounts to disrespect to the field. What has happened with doctors, especially radiologist. रेडियोलॉजिस्ट बोलते सब बोलते ये तो वो वाले, अभी तो कम हो गया, ये सोनोग्राफी करा के कुछ करा के लेबोरेटरीज, या somebody came up with, for example somebody came up with fake vaccines, fake और कुछ emergency, because people are in emergency in COVID, people came. If you think there are many examples, don't block it. ये सब जो मैंने बोला example, is it the case that you don't know the example, you haven't heard this example before? You have, right? You have to mention this. And what happens, in what way, okay, in what way it is, क्या wording है, important. So that means different ways how, and another thing, how it leads to further encouraging the corruption, how the work culture itself become bad. There are so many things, right? Because ethical, and ultimately if you are ethically not ethically if you are not ethical enough, what is the use of your professional? And it perhaps then that quote comes that it becomes dangerous, not just problematic, it becomes dangerous. There the example of APJ and A.Q. Khan can fit in. Or somebody is having utmost skills or utmost expertise in computer and IT systems, but then hacking, professionally competent, you can just employ him, but then unethical hacking or hacking and looting others or something like that, disruptive technology, getting into the disruptive apps, many examples. So what all happens? Destruction happens, further moral fabric goes down, the next gen work culture becomes problematic, and all the more become double dangerous, because if intelligent person, capable person becomes ethical, it becomes all the more difficult, right? And then you can conclusion, see, the same flow. If your conclusion generally means in all the UPSC this thing, but especially GS. And one, if you want to summarize, if the topic that you discussed above was had many aspects, 3, 4, 5 aspects, so you want to bind it together again, summarize. Second, if you want to extend what it has written, कि इतना तक है, आगे ये भी था, वो conclusion में आएगा. Extension includes futuristic, और futuristic is little vision वाला, तो तीसरा था, like vision, optimism. Extension means, like for example, if you write about this thinker, you know, this thing, especially in optional also it works, but in this particular thing, for example, not just professionally competent and ethically this thing, they should also be environmentally sensitive and gender sensitive. Extension है वो, futuristic नहीं. Futuristic means the, if we have the bureaucracy flooded with the people who are ethically competent, even if they may not be professionally as competent, they can be trained to be one. But we have better bureaucracy than otherwise we have, like that. Corruption, this issue you can go back to corruption. That's how you conclude. So summarize, extend, or write optimistic. If you have something to compare with, comparison भी conclusion में एक आता है. जैसे कुछ लिखा और not here much, this question doesn't fit much, but some questions, okay, like for example emotional intelligence question is there, conclusion में आप spiritual question डाल दो. Spiritual question is again if you know, so it's like comparison and bringing the topic. ठीक है, आ रहा है समझ में? ये तो हो गया डिस्कशन. ई श्रीधरन किधर गया? मेट्रो, ही इज नॉट जस्ट प्रोफेशनली कॉम्पिटेंट बट ऑल्सो एथिकल. कलाम, वर्गीस क्यूरन, प्रोफेशनली कॉम्पिटेंट. And yes, one more very interesting thing, if somebody is professionally competent and ethical, then the person is a treasure for the country. It's like a big thing for the country. सही है ना? कि अगर कोई, वो भी है ना इंसिडेंट, कुछ सचिन तेंदुलकर का भी है, वो फिक्सिंग के बारे में वो खुद भी बोले थे, लाइक somebody came a day before, asked him कि ये आपको इतने आउट होना है, ऐसा ऐसा फिक्स हुआ है, वो नहीं एक्सेप्ट नहीं करते. और he was approached with the advertisement of this tobacco with lot of money possible. He said वो मैं नहीं करूँगा. बिग थिंग. अभी हम बोल रहे हैं कि अरे उसके लिए क्या है, पैसा कर रहे हैं, उससे रिच ज़्यादा रिच लोग हैं वो भी कर रहे हैं. ये थोड़ा सरप्राइजिंग नहीं लगता कि somebody like अक्षय कुमार and शाहरुख खान who was like richest among one of the individuals without owning any company per se, टाटा बिरला छोड़ दो, they are getting into this. ये mention उनका नाम, if you want to mention you can mention, but tobacco ad, you know how harmful it is going to be if you do it. You're doing it. It is unethical act. It might not be illegal, but it is unethical. And by the way, they are not doing ad. You know how this surrogate or concealing or जो भी उसको बोलते हैं, उस टाइप का ad बना के, ad तो है केसर का, इलायची का, सॉरी, सुबह केसरी. What do you understand by values and ethics? In what way it is important to be ethical along with being professionally competent? Repeat. मैंने बोला ना, same sample question paper repeated in first question in 2013. बस ये क्या होगा, ethical human conduct की जगह क्या आया, values. ज़्यादा फर्क है नहीं, वही चीज़ लिखनी है. ठीक है, इस पे अभी कोई डिस्कस नहीं करेंगे, वो हो गया. बट जस्ट वांटेड टू कम्युनिकेट कि वैल्यूज का क्या होगा, तो पता ही थियरी सिंपल क्वेश्चन है, बट वैल्यूज एंड एथिक्स दोनों लिखना है. बट सेम चीज रिपीट, और फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन ही था, सैंपल क्वेश्चन एज आ गया. इस पे कुछ पूछना है? नहीं. व्हाट डू यू अंडरस्टैंड बाय द टर्म वॉइस ऑफ कॉन्शियंस? हाउ डू यू प्रिपेयर योरसेल्फ टू हीट टू द वॉइस ऑफ कॉन्शियंस? 2013. नाउ वॉइस ऑफ कॉन्शियंस वी ऑलरेडी डिस्कस. So many things we discussed. Yes or no? What all we discussed? Conscience कहाँ से आता है, क्या करता है? It's a voice, it's a compass, it's a regulator. Right and wrong, guilt. Intuition word इस्तेमाल किया मैंने? नहीं. हाँ, हाँ, पिन इस्तेमाल किया है, फ्रॉम इनसाइड पोकिंग यू टू नॉट डू और डू। इंट्यूशन थोड़ा अलग हो जाता है। कॉन्शियस एक्चुअली ना वो एक इट इज कॉल्ड द कैटेगरिकल इम्पेरेटिव, एक टिपिकल टर्म है फ्रॉम द फिलोसॉफी कांट का। वो अलग है थोड़ा, वो एक्चुअली ऐसा है कि इट इज सो इनहेरेंट इन यू, इट इज नॉट योर चॉइस, ये आपके मूड पे, आपकी पर्सनैलिटी पे डिपेंड नहीं होता। नहीं, इंट्यूशन अलग होता है, वो स्पॉन्टेनियस चीज है इंट्यूशन। हो कंसेंस वो आपका फ्रेमवर्क है, मतलब जैसे योर आईज विल eyes are made to receive the light। कान से देख सकते हैं क्या? कैन यू सी थ्रू ईयर्स? नो। कैन यू हियर थ्रू आईज? तो एक फिक्स्ड फर्नीचर है, उसी के थ्रू चीजें जाएगी। वैसे ही देयर इज इंटरनल फर्नीचर, वो वैसे ही काम करेगा जैसे उसका प्रोग्रामिंग है। तो इट्स लाइक अ फिक्स थिंग, कांट की बात कर रहा हूं। तो एक फर्नीचर है, उससे मतलब इट्स लाइक दिस, इफ यू आर if you are going with your conscience, it will never show you wrong. Conscience will always show you right. It's up to you how much to follow. वो फिर इंटीग्रिटी प्रॉब्लम हो जाती है। मुझे पता है ये करना सही है, लेकिन थोड़ा पैसा मिल रहा था तो मैं छोड़ दिया। That's all. तो वॉइस ऑफ कॉन्सेंस वही सब, इनर कॉलिंग, इनर कंपास, नज टू मूव टुवर्ड्स राइटियस डिसीजन, composed of value system of the person, structured according to the priorities. Concept of guilt already discussed. Is a consistent guide to ethical decision making. क्या कर सकते हैं? How would you prepare yourself to heed to the voice of conscience? उसकी तरफ heed to means ध्यान देना, उसकी बात सुनना। Yes, ideals, हाँ। Then यहाँ पे है be truthful to yourself, ठीक है। Committed, evaluation of thought, speech, action with rigor standards. Every time please watch what are you doing, सही कर रहे हो, गलत कर रहे हो, at least in the professional places. And by the way, we do it, you know this, हम वैसे भी कर लेते हैं। Even if you are friends, you will not behave the way you will behave outside, you will not behave the way here, because like बाकियों को नुकसान हो गया, हमें हंसना सही नहीं। Even if you are friends or any behavior, we are always regulating our own behavior so that it should not harm others. वो करते ही हैं। Meditating and prayer, it helps to cleanse your mind, to calm your mind. Feeding mind with noble thoughts, जो आपने बोला। Freeing oneself from external influence and selfish interest. Emotional intelligence is must. ठीक है, इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस अभी हमने पढ़ा नहीं तो आपको और समझ में आ जाता, बट मैं ऑलरेडी बोला, इफ यू रिमेंबर व्हाई इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस इज रिक्वायर्ड फॉर एथिक्स, मैंने कॉन्साइंस में ही तो बताया व्हाई इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस इंपॉर्टेंट। क्या बता रहा था मैं, बताओ। तो you have to be calm and composed and rational enough to take the decision, or to your ability to stick to your conscience. इसलिए yes. Yes, yes. See, it's like this. I know what is right, but थोड़ा आज मूड नहीं है, आज रॉन्ग है, वही करेंगे। कॉन्साइंस के खिलाफ गिल्ट तो हो गई फिर ना। द गुड ऑफ एन इंडिविजुअल इज कंटेन्ड इन द गुड ऑफ ऑल। कौन सा है प्रिंसिपल? सर्वोदय कंसेप्ट ऑफ गांधी, सर्व उदय। व्हाट डू यू अंडरस्टैंड बाय दिस स्टेटमेंट? ये नहीं भी पता है सर्वोदय तो भी यू विल बी एबल टू आंसर। व्हाट डू यू अंडरस्टैंड बाय दिस स्टेटमेंट? हाउ कैन दिस प्रिंसिपल बी इंप्लीमेंटेड इन पब्लिक लाइफ? हाउ? इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में सर्वोदय कंसेप्ट तो लिख ही दिया है. सोशल ऑर्डर लीड्स टू प्रॉस्पेरिटी, जस्टिस एंड वेलफेयर. सोशल ऑर्डर है सर्व उदय. ओके, कलेक्टिविज्म. What happens in Sarvodaya then? When society grows, everybody benefits. Right or wrong? So, when society decays, everybody suffers. So, individual of one lies in the benefit of welfare of individual lies in welfare of society. It's substantiate why one should be ethical in her conduct, responsibility, mutual coexistence, interconnectedness, cleanliness, like this mask ka example in the COVID times. Why everybody has to wear the mask? Because everybody is going to be suffered if not. Okay, a good Samaritan. Why? Because tomorrow if you are meeting an accident, what will happen? You will expect somebody to help you. So point is, you think collective, think larger, think societal or universal, automatically it will benefit. Everybody should be provided with health and education. Why? It is good for all. Maybe at the cost of my tax, but everybody should be given basic things at the cost of my tax, no problem. Because then only because it will benefit me this or that way. Everything comes down. Cleanliness to best example hai. If all surrounding is clean only, there is a point in having your home cleaned. अगर surrounding clean नहीं है तो सिर्फ घर clean करके क्या करेंगे? Ultimately it will come back. Okay, so these are small examples. Education and discipline, implementation in public life. Obviously वो तो Sarvodaya concept has to be communicated through education and discipline, cooperation and fraternity, social influence and persuasion, leading by examples. Okay, for example, a road has pothole and is repairing will help the full society, plantation, wastage of the water, etc. ठीक है, वो तो examples हैं, और भी examples हो सकते हैं. The point is you should be able to think in what context the question is asked. Question is, things that you do for the all will benefit you in long term. ठीक है. तो आप ट्राई करो फिर थोड़ा सा पहले, या सीधा बता दूं? ये जो लिखे होते हैं ये मॉडल आंसर नहीं है, ये कंटेंट फॉर आंसर है. इसमें से कुछ एग्जाम्पल जाएंगे, कुछ नहीं जाएंगे. इट डिपेंड्स ऑन फ्लो ऑफ योर आंसर, जैसे हमने पहले बोला. ठीक है, दैट्स वाई लिखना बहुत जरूरी है. कंटेंट इज नॉट जस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट, कंटेंट तो इम्पोर्टेंट है ही, बट दैट कंटेंट हैज टू बी structured or maintained in that particular demand of the question. Now you tell, the good of individual lies in the good of all. So you start with explaining, or if you know that it is based on the Sarvodaya concept of Mahatma Gandhi, mention about that. नहीं है तो भी कोई issue नहीं है. That individual being part of the society, or individual being the most important part of the society, everything that society goes through, individual will be kind of getting those things in return. Yes, benefactor तो है ही, and society and individual relation is very intimate relationship, as that is relationship of part and whole. Part and whole, whole and part. What do you understand by this statement? Then see, you have to, like for example, you explain society this thing. If you want to write meaning of the statement, or if you want to write, if you know, write the subheading as Sarvodaya. तो व्हेन यू इंट्रोड्यूस, जो हमने बोला, इसके बाद सीधा सर्वोदय लिख सकते, नहीं है तो वेलफेयर ऑफ ऑल. Subheading I generally encourage because it helps you also in bifurcating things and especially parts of the answer, and also helps you to kind of cover all the possible topics that they are trying to ask. Then second part, okay, and second is how can this principle be implemented? So implementation in public life. Right, then all I am not saying this example has to be written like this, it is just a content. So you talk about how social order leads to prosperity for all. If you maintain the order, if you do not get into the unethical or criminal practices, then society itself remains in order. Then when society blooms, the individual also benefits. Then there you immediately put example, if for example mention of cleanliness, mention of good roads, mention of good facilities of health and education, it is for all society, but I am benefiting it, right? Well, society decays, and if society, like for example criminalization of politics or easy availability of weapons in the society, you might feel that having the particular weapon will help me, but that impacts the society, and then what will happen? The decays overall society and increase the crime in the society. These are simple examples. इसमें कुछ भी ऐसा एग्जाम्पल नहीं है कि जो मतलब ये ऐसे ही याद रखूंगा मैं. Try to think, okay? Then it substantiate why one should be ethical. Obviously, this concept, this particular statement substantiates that why one should be ethical. It inspires one to be ethical. It explains why one should be taking the responsibility. Mutual coexistence and interconnectedness. Everything that you has a direct impact on others, everything others do direct impact on you. The carbon dioxide I am exhaling is getting converted by trees into the oxygen which you are inhaling. It is as direct as this is. ये भी एक एग्जाम्पल है इंटरकनेक्टेड एस्टेब्लिश करने. So if I pollute the air, it is the whole society is getting air polluted. If I avoid pollution, the whole society is going to get, which includes me also. Think in the form of examples, then automatically you will have arguments to write and examples to follow. Okay? Not necessarily point form, not necessarily, depends. इसमें पॉइंट लिखने की जरूरत, पॉइंट लिख सकते नहीं तो ऐसे भी लिख सकते हैं, जैसे पैराग्राफ 3 ही बैठ रहे तो पैराग्राफ, जैसे ज़्यादा लंबा लिख ले तो पैराग्राफ. सी यू हैव टू राइट, बिकॉज विदाउट दैट यू विल नॉट अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज हैपनिंग ऑन द पेपर. ये अभी जो है वो थ्योरेटिकल क्वेश्चन है कि ये, क्योंकि ना ये मार्केट इंजेक्टेड क्वेश्चन है आपके दिमाग में, तो ठीक है, मैं इसको नकार नहीं रहा हूँ कि पॉइंट लिखे या पैराग्राफ लिखे. इंट्रोडक्शन क्या लिखे? सी, हैव यू एवर सीन यूपीएससी डिक्लेयरिंग दैट इंट्रोडक्शन इज 2 marks, मेन बॉडी इज 6 marks, criticism is 2 marks, conclusion is 2 marks, anything of that sort? So why are you writing introduction? You tell me why we are writing introduction. मार्केट ने बोल दिया तो लिख रहे हैं, बट उसके उन्होंने क्यों ऐसा बोला होगा, उसके पीछे भी कुछ कारण होगा. आई एम नॉट सेइंग व्हाट मार्केट और टॉपर्स आर सेइंग इज रॉन्ग. ऑब्वियसली वो उन्होंने बोला है तो उसमें कुछ लॉजिक होगा. वो लॉजिक क्या है बताओ. Whenever you are presenting anybody around 150 words on a topic, don't you really think that first 2-3 lines should be simple and introductory, and last 2-3 lines would be conclusive? Have you read any of the Hindu and Express article? अरे कुछ मतलब इन द सेंस कुछ एक ऐसा रिमार्क होगा which looks like conclusion. not exactly times, but ऐसे बीच में why there has to be end of anything. Simple logic है. Now if you think, if you understand this, now you apply logic to the questions, then आपको खुद लगेगा हाँ ये थोड़ा सा ऐसा लग रहा है कि something has to be written. And structure कैसे करना है? Simple है. Whatever is asked, use that subheading. I mean, if they are asking ethical human conduct, okay, ethical human conduct dash. And how to inculcate, how to improve, or improvement methods. Once that introduction, conclusion, and subheading, if you are able to do it, be sure that masala डालना बहुत आसान है. Once you practice, you have to practice answer writing. In the sense, लिखो. Maybe initially it may take not 7 but 8.5 or 9 minutes. Okay, don't take 20 minutes. वो तो फिर notes हो जाएगा, right? Answer writing without time limit or answer writing minus time limit is equal to notes. It's not answer. फिर आराम से बैठ के और इधर देख के लिख रहे हैं, वो notes हो गया. Answer writing is answer writing, because I can tell you answer writing is a very different ball game altogether in that 7 minutes or 30 minutes. What you are thinking now, because content and all. If your just content is going to be remembered, so many people writing mains for 4 years, why aren't they getting better marks? So does that mean, I'm not saying कि आप दे दो 3-4 बार कुछ नहीं होने वाला. I'm not saying that. I'm saying please try to understand the demand of the examination. Try to be smart in your preparation. Smart in the sense faster. Yes, content is important. Content is like professionally competent. But practice is like ethical. If you do not do practice, professional competent होके कोई फायदा नहीं है. ठीक है, तो प्लीज प्रैक्टिस तो करना ही है. ओके, आंसर लिखना ही है. ऑल ह्यूमन बींग्स एस्पायर फॉर, ये तो ऐसा सवाल था ना, ये बाद में तो आएगा नहीं कभी. बट व्हाट डू यू थिंक? ज़्यादा ये नहीं करेंगे. क्वेश्चन ये है, ऑल ह्यूमन बींग्स एस्पायर फॉर हैप्पीनेस. डू यू एग्री? व्हाट डज हैप्पीनेस मीन टू यू? एक्सप्लेन विद एग्जांपल. यस, बताओ. ये क्वेश्चन कौन से सिलेबस पॉइंट से है? As such कोई भी नहीं. Which one? Okay, you think something is closer, tell me. Some logical connection has to be there. Aspiring happiness कहाँ से है? Explain with example, simple. आपके मायने what is the value of सुखा और खुशी और happiness for you? First of all, do you really agree that everybody is aspiring for happiness? And what it means to you? What happiness means to you? ये ऐसे से भी ज़्यादा abstract हो गया. ये आया था 2014 में. This is also exam that I had written. कुछ तो लिखा था उस समय. I had written some experience, incident. Happiness means, उस समय थोड़ा we had got the knack of things. When I help someone, I feel so happy. When I make my parents proud, I feel so happy. And उस समय वही था, मतलब उस समय सिलेक्शन जस्ट हुआ था, तो वो एक्सपीरियंस भी किया था. उसके बाद का अटेम्प्ट है. तो when I read some really good book, I feel happy. ये होता भी है. मुझे हो रहा था, वो लिख दिया था ठीक ठाक. वो बाद में like later on it was realized that it was very good write this kind of question. That was a very good way of writing answer. उसमें अदरवाइज क्या लिखेंगे? हैप्पीनेस, वो फिर आप विल गो टू साइकोलॉजी, व्हाट डोपामाइन, ये सब थोड़ी लिखेंगे. हैप्पीनेस फॉर मी सर, हैप्पीनेस फॉर एवरी, नॉट जस्ट फॉर मी, फॉर एवरी ह्यूमन बीइंग. हैप्पीनेस मीन्स द सिक्रेशन ऑफ डोपामाइन इन दिस पर्टिकुलर ग्लैंड अमाउंट दिस mg that mg. It doesn't make sense. Or you cannot write materialistic also purely, having lot of money is happiness for me. In ethics paper तो नहीं लिख सकते. For everybody today in India, and when they have asked what it means to you, never write GS answer. Like in India, happiness has become very this thing and India's happiness index is going down. ये सब GS का आंसर हो गया. What it means to you? कुछ लोगों ने लिखा था like when you, and this happens when you are walking on the road and if you see somebody who needs help to cross the road, especially elderly, when I cross the road I feel so happy. and वो होता है, दिन भर अच्छा लगता है खुद के बारे में, समय तो और ज़्यादा लग रहा था ना, तो होता ही है. and any other help if you do, feel happy. Try to bring in your answer. ये mostly repeat नहीं होगा, but you should know what all kinds of question they have been asking. They can ask any random abstract question tomorrow. Examples here. The most important message that I wanted to communicate is personal life example is what they are asking straight away. What it means to you? What it means to you happiness? आपके मायने, खुशी और सुख के मायने क्या है बताओ आप, हर कोई एक बताओ. Point is something that is obvious, something that is very personal or hesitant, यही लिखना है पेपर में. ऐसे टाइप के क्वेश्चंस. एंड एथिक्स में तो ऐसा लगता है कि सर ये तो कितना, इट्स सो ऑब्वियस, वही लिखना है कि इसमें क्या है, मदद कर ली तो हैप्पी तो हो गई कोई भी. दैट्स व्हाट दे आर आस्किंग. व्हाई डोंट यू राइट इट? बिकॉज दे आर नॉट गोइंग टू चेक थ्रू आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन योर हेड. Window to your thoughts, your knowledge, your personality is, for UPSC, window to your personality, thought and everything is your answer sheet. वो तो रीडेबल भी होनी चाहिए और उसमें लिखा होना चाहिए. यस, व्हाट हैप्पीनेस मीन्स टू यू. देखो ये थ्योरेटिकल गया. डिफाइन हैप्पीनेस नहीं है, व्हाट हैप्पीनेस मीन्स टू यू. यही तो दिक्कत है. क्वेश्चन का फॉर्मेट देखो and explain with examples. चलो वो भी हैप्पीनेस इज द स्टेट ऑफ माइंड, वो तो फिर पॉवर्टी इज द स्टेट ऑफ माइंड जैसा हो जाए. इसका स्टेटमेंट है ये, नहीं पता, यू डोंट नो दिस. तो ये आप तो उस समय का है 2014-15 में एक बहुत बड़े पॉलिटिशियन ने बोला पॉवर्टी इज द स्टेट ऑफ माइंड. पॉवर्टी इज द स्टेट ऑफ माइंड. जिसने भी बोला होगा वो कैसा होगा? What would be your evaluation of that person? Funny, very good, yes, funny. और बड़े पॉलिटिशियन अगर बोल रहे तो मेन पॉलिटिशियन बोल रहा है ये. फनी ठीक है, हाँ फनी, बट आपका टोन सही है. इसने बोला होगा. और what kind of evaluation would you have about the person who says that poverty is just a state of mind? The person, the speaker, the one who speaks. Okay. Okay. ये थोड़ा अपोजिट जा रहा है, बाकी सब ठीक है. राहुल गांधी ने बोला, इसलिए फनी ठीक है बिकॉज वो इतना सोचते नहीं है. पार्लियामेंट में मोदी जी ने बता ही दिया क्या वर्ड है. क्या वर्ड है? हर्ड, बालक बुद्धि. Have you heard the word बालक? You not heard. Recent पार्लियामेंट में मोदी, ठीक है, वैसे आपको मेंस वालों को इतनी जरूरत भी नहीं है, बट ठीक है. दैट वाज द वर्ड यूज फॉर हिम. अभी इज लाइक पप्पू यूज नहीं करना है, बालक बुद्धि यूज करना है. तो वो बहुत क्रिटिसाइज हुआ था उस समय बिकॉज ही वॉज इन पावर 2013 के एंड में. तो जब पॉवर्टी तेंदुलकर कमेटी और उसके रिपोर्ट आते थे और वो कैलोरीज के हिसाब से रिपोर्ट होते. पॉवर्टी जस्ट अ स्टेट ऑफ माइंड. इफ यू वांट टू फील पुअर यू विल बी पुअर. ही इज सेइंग, ऐसा बोला था उन्होंने. ठीक. तो बाकी आई थिंक इंसिडेंट फ्रॉम पर्सनल लाइफ, ये कौन सा वाला? हाँ, एग्जाम्पल था वही है, हेल्पिंग एन ओल्ड लेडी क्रॉस द रोड. देखो ऐसे ही जो ये तो इंडिकेटिव है ना, इसमें से और भी निकल के आएंगे. What does ethics seek to promote in human life? Promote in human life. What is it? All the more important in the administration. ये सेम फिर रिपीट हुआ 2022 में. It is believed that the adherence to the ethics in human action would ensure the smooth functioning of an organization system. Question नहीं है ये, ज्ञान है. Question. If so, what does the ethics seek to promote? Question सेम है, आगे बस थोड़ा ज्ञान दे दिया. Ethics seek to promote human life. How do ethical value assist in resolution of conflicts faced by him in his day to day functioning. Basically important in public administration. बस थोड़ा सा डिटेल कर दिया, ठीक है। ये क्वेश्चन लिखो और उसका आंसर लिख के, अभी थोड़ा टाइम हो गया, घर जाके लिखना, और क्वेश्चन लिखो, हाथ से लिखो क्वेश्चन। डोंट जस्ट राइट सर ये कौन सा क्वेश्चन है, 2014 का 4th A है, हम लिख लेंगे। राइट डाउन द क्वेश्चन, बिकॉज यू नो व्हाई एथिक्स में आई कैन गारंटी यू द वर्डिंग ऑफ द क्वेश्चन कैन बी वेरी यूजफुल मटेरियल फॉर आंसर टू सम अदर क्वेश्चन, like adherence to ethics in human actions would ensure in smooth functioning of the organization. यही आपका एक पॉइंट हो जाता है कभी कभी आंसर। एंड कोट तो पक्का, like what happened in first question that we discussed, one of the quotes that UPSC had asked was part of our answer. फिट बैठ गया तो लिख दिया, तो प्लीज लिखिए। ये दूसरा 22 का लिखिए, ये रहने दीजिए बिकॉज ये थोड़ा लंबा है, और इसी का आंसर लिखिए, ये एक ही चीज है। इट इज बिलीव्ड दैट adherence to ethics in human actions, fast, handwriting should be fast, would ensure in smooth functioning of an organization / system. If so, what does ethics seek to promote in human life? How do ethical values assist in resolution of conflicts faced by him in his day-to-day function? First, हाथ थोड़ा सा जल्दी जल्दी चलना चाहिए, ठीक है। तो आप आंसर लिखिए। व्हाट डू यू अंडरस्टैंड बाय दी फॉलोइंग टर्म्स? इंटीग्रिटी, परसिवरेंस, ये सब, ये देखो ये रिपीट हुआ 17 में, 18 में, सेम चीज। फिर इंडिकेट 2 more एट्रीब्यूट्स विच, ये 2013 का क्वेश्चन है, बट 18 में 17 में वो वही चीज सेम रिपीट हुई 2 मार्क के लिए। एंड रिपीटेड इन 2021, आइडेंटिफाई 5 एथिकल ट्रेड्स इन विच वन कैन प्लॉट द परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ अ सिविल सर्वेंट, वही चीज 5 लिखी। ये पीपीटी में भेज दूंगा आपको चाहिए तो, है ना, ग्रुप पे। अगर जब भी ग्रुप बनेगा, आई थिंक कल, तभी पीपीटी डाल दूंगा, कोई इशू नहीं। मतलब जो पीपीटी से ही डिस्कस करता हूँ मैं, क्योंकि लिखना होता है, तो यू विल गेट द पीपीटी, डोंट वरी। क्वेश्चन इसलिए लिखना होता है बिकॉज वो, आई टोल्ड यू, इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। देखो, आइडेंटिफाई द 5 एथिकल ट्रेड्स इन विच वन कैन प्लॉट द परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ अ सिविल सर्वेंट, जस्टिफाई द इंक्लूजन इन द मैट्रिक्स, वही क्वेश्चन है। सिविल सर्वेंट के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है कौन से 5 एथिकल ट्रेड्स है, यही 5 एथिकल ट्रेड्स। बिना इंटीग्रिटी आंसर लिख सकते हैं नहीं। स्पिरिट ऑफ सर्विस मेरा फेवरेट है बहुत, इंटीग्रिटी है। बाकी करेज ऑफ कन्विक्शन, आप बाकी कंपैशन डाल सकते हैं, ट्रांसपेरेंसी डाल सकते हैं, ठीक है। ये उसका आंसर है, आपको भेज दूंगा तो आप देख लो। प्रैक्टिस क्वेश्चन भी उसमें आ जाएंगे। तो वो व्हाट अकॉर्डिंग टू यू मोटिवेट्स अ पर्सन टू एक्ट, ये यूपीएससी का नहीं है, प्रैक्टिस क्वेश्चन, मतलब सिमिलर बट बेस्ड ऑन यूपीएससी थिंग बट रिफॉर्मुलेटेड। व्हाट अकॉर्डिंग टू यू मोटिवेट्स अ पर्सन टू एक्ट मॉरली? टू पर्सनल इंटरेस्ट ऑलवेज गो अगेंस्ट मॉरलिटी, एलैबोरेट विद एग्जाम। तो ये कोई पीवाईक्यू नहीं है, तो इसको बस सॉल्व करो ज़्यादा। It is often seen that when a natural calamity or a crisis situation comes, people manifest highly ethical behaviors. They help each other even at the cost of their own life. But in normalcy, some people are found to be self-serving. What do you think is the reason behind this? How could you persuade people to afford the same compassion in all the times? Okay. No behavior is termed ethical unless there lies an intention to do good to others, even though it appears to be helping others. Do you agree? No behavior is termed ethical unless there lies an intention to do good to others. There lies an intention to do good to others, even though it appears to be helping others. Do you agree? Elaborate with the example. जो हमने बात किया, इंटेंशन होना चाहिए, अदरवाइज क्या एथिकलिटी? कि बहुत ऐसे ही मैं जा रहा था, मेरे हाथ से कुछ गिर गया, तो 10 रुपए का नोट गलती से वो बेगर के पॉट में गिर गया, कोई एथिकल एक्ट नहीं किया आपने, आप चले गए, आपकी बैग में से गिर गया, उसको मिल गया, उसके लिए ही माइट थिंक कि अरे आप ग्रेड हुआ, कोई एथिकल एक्ट नहीं। एथिकल एक्ट इज अ कॉन्शियस एक्ट, एथिकल एक्ट इज अ डेलिब्रेट एक्ट, considering that doing this will benefit others at the larger good, or at least by doing this I am following a ethical principle, compassion, honesty, ये होना ही चाहिए। ठीक है, बस हो गया। कुछ क्वेश्चन है तो पूछिए। नाउ अगेन यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड, ओके, ये अभी जो हमने किया, सीधा ऊपर जाने का तरीका नहीं, हाँ नहीं नहीं, एकदम फर्स्ट या सेकंड स्लाइड पे जाना, ऐसे पेज नंबर, नहीं नहीं नहीं, वो तो फिर वो है। चलो ठीक है, मैं क्या बोल रहा था, नाउ दैट वी हैव एंडेड द डिस्कशन, you understood how it is going to be and what you understood how to make the use of this course, as in there will be perspective building, there will be, you know, at least from my side there will be persuasion to think in this way, think open, think about that thing, thinking I am saying. Second, questions, discussions, so there will be content, and many times this happens when what I say also becomes part of the content because I have read it already. So some examples, so try to note it down immediately, while not while answer writing, while I am teaching or while I am speaking, some examples I give, just note it down, go back and search. I talked about tukaram umle, now it should be part of your vocabulary till 21st 22nd of September. यहाँ पे भी वो करेज का बात आएगा, ये बंदे को मैं डाल रही हूँ, तो जस्ट गो बैक एंड रीड क्या किया उन्होंने, बिकॉज द फ्लो ऑफ द आर्ग्यूमेंट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, देन ओनली एग्जामिन फिट्स इन। उसके अलावा भी एग्जाम्पल्स नोट्स में मिल जाएंगे। आंसर राइटिंग कम से कम 2-3 आंसर डिपेंडिंग अपॉन टाइम, कल थोड़ा और ज़्यादा लिख सकते हैं। आंसर राइटिंग क्लास में ही थोड़ा आपको करना पड़ेगा, एंड देन यू हैव टू गो बैक, जो भी प्रैक्टिस क्वेश्चन है, बचे क्वेश्चन, प्लीज गो एंड राइट इट, ऑप्शन नहीं है, ठीक है। रेडीनेस टू टैकल अनएक्सपेक्टेड क्वेश्चन वो आ ही जाएगा। तो ये ही टोन रहेगा और यही सीन रहेगा इसमें। आफ्टर द एंड, नाउ दैट ए लेक्चर हैज एंडेड, इफ यू हैव सम डाउट इन अंडरस्टैंडिंग, इफ यू हैव सम आई वुड से सजेशन स्लैश ऑब्जेक्शन कि नहीं सर ऐसे करते तो ठीक रहता, बिकॉज ये मेंस के लिए है। वैसे ये अभी 4th बैच है हमारा, सेम, बिकॉज ये बहुत क्रैम्प होता है। अभी हो गया एथिक्स एंड ह्यूमन इंटरप्रेट, कल ह्यूमन वैल्यूज आएगा, परसों 3रा चैप्टर आएगा, फिर 5 चैप्टर, इट बी वेरी फास्ट। What I am expecting that you write on your own and show it to me if possibly physically, then you will see improvement, because answer writing के बिना ethics नहीं है। If you are waiting for content only, content तो मिल जाएगा, but if you are waiting for content only, what you need is answer writing and the feedback of it, ठीक है। So if you have some objection or suggestion, yes, next lecture, main thing I expect that the questions that you, and even possibly all the questions that we tried now, again rewrite maximum possible question if you can come with immediately after lecture, like now. If you want to sit 15 minutes, just show me. If you think no sir I want proper evaluation as in marks also, then you have to send it to me on WhatsApp, वो नंबर मिल जाएगा कि सीधा आप नाम बताना, इस बैच का है सर, ये मैंने लिखा, आप चेक करके वापस दे देना। तो टुमारो आई एम नॉट एक्सपेक्टिंग एनीथिंग टू रीड फॉर यू। हाँ, PYQs रीडिंग ऑलरेडी टोल्ड, ऑल द PYQs यू हैव टू रीड, एटलीस्ट थ्योरी नाउ। केस स्टडी के लिए चलो टाइम लगेगा, केस स्टडी के लिए समय करेंगे, बट एटलीस्ट हैव अ हैंग ऑफ थिंग्स। व्हाट इज द काइंड ऑफ एग्जाम, व्हाट इज द काइंड ऑफ पेपर्स दैट आस्किंग, PYQs के थ्रू यू हैव टू गो थ्रू, एंड don't now, at least for now, don't go for any ready-made toppers answer sheet now. I'm not saying don't go, it is because that thing, the biggest help that the good topper's answer sheet that will do to you is content. Because many examples that he or she might have quoted or some argument here and there. First you establish yours. Once, like maybe after this 15 days, 3 weeks only, at the end of the July you will be free from this course. Then you look for addition. Other what will happen, you will start compulsively thinking like that only, and this is psychology, because this is very abstract paper. In the paper, if slightly new question comes, there will be a strong urge inside you to look for some starting points from topper, so that I will write the answer. टॉपर तो मसूरी में बैठे हैं, आप बैठे हैं धौलपुर हाउस में पेपर लिख रहे हैं, वो एक होता है. एंड एथिक्स में बहुत मैटर करता है, बिकॉज इट्स लेस फैक्चुअल एंड मोर एब्स्ट्रैक्ट एंड मोर साइकोलॉजी ओरिएंटेड. ये भी एक देखा गया कि इफ यू आर इन वेरी गुड मूड, योर आंसर ऑफ एथिक्स इंप्रूव्स. इट मे नॉट बी द केस विद योर ऑप्शनल, बिकॉज ऑप्शनल तो रिवाइज कर करके यू राइट. तो ऑल द PYQs रीड थियरी, पॉसिबली केस स्टडी अगर हो तो, और जो भी क्वेश्चंस वी डिस्कस्ड PYQ ones and the practice also, write, and whenever the class is over, show it to me tomorrow. This much is enough. And if same thing followed, like if you are writing every day at least for an hour or more than that after the lecture, your ethics is going on. उससे अलावा कोई ethics नहीं है. फिर ethics का preparation यही है. यहाँ पे 2.5 hours 3 hours you listen to it, write down whenever I speak. Follow the suggestion in the sense of watch this, watch that, what this thing, और notes भी मिल जाएंगे उसमें, and then write. इससे ज़्यादा नहीं, बाकी focus on GS 1 2 3 and optional. उससे ज़्यादा कोई नहीं सर बोल, लेकिन ये खत्म करना था, लेक्सिकन खत्म करना था, कोई पॉइंट ही नहीं. खत्म करना है तो करो, कोई इशू नहीं है, कोई कुछ मिलेगा ही नहीं उससे. पढ़ के देख लीजिए, पता चल जाएगा. None of the toppers who have in free YouTube videos, you go and watch to them. Nobody suggests lexicon. कोई एक किताब वोकैबुलरी के लिए पढ़ लो, है ना, इंग्लिश थोड़ा सा आ जाए, एट्रीब्यूटेड, मैनिफेस्टेड, इस टाइप के वर्ड्स के लिए थोड़ा सा वो पढ़ना होता है बस. कंटेंट न्यूज़पेपर से आएगा, जिंदगी से आएगा, माइथोलॉजी से आएगा, गुड मूवीज से आएगा, बुक से आएगा, एक्सपीरियंसेस से आएगा. नोट्स भी है ना, नोट्स देंगे. हाँ नहीं, वो दे देंगे अभी, वो एक बार तो ग्रुप वगैरह तो बन जाए, उस पर वो डाल देंगे, और उसमें पोर्टल पे होगा नोट्स. पोर्टल पे तो होगा, हैव यू चेक्ड? हाँ, तो पोर्टल पे होगा ही, बिकॉज एक्सेस वो ऑटोमेटिक है. नहीं है तो मुझे बताना, बिकॉज नोट्स आर ऑलरेडी देयर, दे विल गेट द एक्सेस. ठीक है, तो सी यू टुमारो देन. थैंक यू वेरी मच.